What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3I-041. Charloth the Dreaded, kill the celestial dragons. Advertise here. And at this time, at the port location of the fragmented capital of Seven Waters. Asshole, do you know the identity of this saint? This saint is celestial dragons, you untouchable, do you know the consequences of daring to touch this saint? The celestial dragons are in no way intimidated by the change of circumstances. Instead, because of their innate status and habits, make celestial dragons look irritated and resentful. After all anyway, as an absolutely privileged class that dominates the world government. Even the Marine Admiral, the highest combat power of the Marine that must not be provoked in the eyes of the world in this sea. In the eyes of Charlot's saint, it is just a good dog that will protect its master. One can imagine, he was admiring the scene of two slaves fighting to prevent their families from being killed yesterday. This is what happened today. This is something that the celestial dragons, who are already pampered, cannot accept anyway. Quickly let me go, otherwise, I will turn you, all family members and people I know into the most despicable slaves. And the slut woman yesterday, I will cut off her limbs and become a lowly dog end. Charlot's saint gritted his teeth and stared at the boy's figure angrily. The sound of cursing resounded through the shattered port beneath their feet. However, as the time comes for the dragon pig to play today, Bai Ye didn't intend to talk nonsense. I didn't say much. Looking at Akainu. This gift, you Marines should like it. The voice fell. Bai Ye's actions at this moment. Only when Akainu growled, stop. The extinct cross knife appeared in Bai Ye's hand. Indifferent eyes stared at Akainu. A slashing light flashed directly. And at this moment, stand in Celestial Dragon's perspective. He only saw a picture of an arm thrown high and blood splattering suddenly appear in front of him. Follow closely. Charlot's saint looked down at himself slowly in disbelief. The blood from Shi Zhen's broken shoulder came into view like a spring. The screams came out immediately. Ah, ah, ah. This is the hand of the saint. The hand of the saint. Celestial dragons is pampered habits. Don't let someone cut off your arm, usually you have never even scratched a layer of skin. Because all the slaves who were handicapped in taking care of them in the Holy Land had all been dragged down and executed. The remaining slaves and untouchables will naturally serve carefully in their daily life. But today, as the creator of this world noble celestial dragons. From small to large, not to mention that his arm was cut off, he had never even seen his own blood. Not to mention that some untouchables dared to attack him. Seeing that the black-haired and red-eyed boy was indifferent, Charlot's saint swung the black knife again. The great fear that he felt for the first time in his life gradually appeared in his eyes. Terrified and said, quick, stop. Whatever you want, I can give you anything. Stop it, it doesn't matter if it's slavery, wealth, or status. This saint can promise you everything. Yes, and Marine, you trash, hurry up and save me. Charlot's saint was in disarray. However, another slashing light fell. Stand still. Bai Ye looked at Akainu, who was furious because the celestial dragons did not dare to approach directly. Bai Ye witnessed the celestial dragons who were begging for mercy at this time, and there was nothing but indifference and indifference. Does the creator also fear? Charlot's saint, who had lost an arm again, saw this scene. Completely stunned. As celestial dragons born to hold supreme privilege, he always arrives in any sea area. He has seen many of those dog-licking pariahs who like to flatter them. Even if you reward a little rubbish every time, any kingdom, power, will willingly become its own dog, and try its best to arrange everything. This time I was preparing for the trip from the first half of the Grand Line to East Blue, and there was no exception in the process. But this time, why is this pariah in front of him unmoved? Status, wealth, slave, aren't those things the untouchables from the outside world dreaming of? All kinds of thoughts kept popping up. Another slashing light fell. This time, it was Charlot's saint who had both legs broken at the root. The overly intense pain had already made Charlot's saint, who was in a sluggish state, unable to cry out. Because of him this time, it is gradually clear to understand one thing. The boy in front of him. It is really going to take his life. There is no redundant questioning session like torture slaves. There is also no idea of using the world's noble celestial dragons to threaten the world government. Not to mention any intention of negotiating with Marine. And Bai Ye himself. And very consistent. It is both interest and finished use. Then you should die honestly. It is also this time. Charlot's saint carefully looked at the appearance of the untouchable boy in front of him. When you notice the pair of red pupils that were born in the world like a disaster. Street. Charlot suddenly thought of a topic for fun that was discussed between his father and his elder brother who abused the slaves in the Holy Land. 15 years ago, the Holy Land, Mariejois, has taken place in a room that all celestial dragons regard as humiliating. Although the woman and the child were successfully killed under the covert operation, they were thrown out of the Red Line. But the celestial dragons in the delivery room remember that day clearly. When that lowly blood child was born, it brought deep fear to the celestial dragons present. You can't see, you can't hear, you can't even move your body, and you have a pair of devil-like red pupils. Could it be that you bastard? Charo's saint, who had turned into a human stick, looked at Bai Ye in disbelief, his tone trembling when he spoke. Because he didn't believe it at all, he just took that incident as a joke for fun. But I didn't expect. He really saw the child who was ruthlessly abandoned in the red line. And right here and now, stand before his eyes. The ultimate fear in his heart could no longer be suppressed and engulfed Charo's saint's body, and he couldn't stop shaking. However, Bai Ye didn't stop because of this. Instead, it is on the fragmented port that is now attracting the attention of the entire capital of Seven Waters. The black knife fell again. That was when Akainu's face fell to the extreme cold, and countless people were terrified in their hearts. The head of the celestial dragons with unconcealable fear is thrown high. At the same time, this also symbolizes that many years have passed. In this sea, the fact that a world nobleman, celestial dragons, has died. What's more, the death is extremely miserable, which is almost equivalent to public execution. 042. Shocked Naval Headquarters. Advertise here. ... This moment, with the head of the celestial dragons who still showed disbelief before death fell to the ground. All the people in the entire city of Seven Waters who were attracted by the movement just now, or the Marines on the warship. The collective once again fell into a deathly silence. Until, someone said in the shock of ultimate. Cheated. That guy, killed the celestial dragons. No, but why did the celestial dragons appear in? Wooly, who was watching from a distance, knelt on the ground and muttered to himself. But he was immediately interrupted by the extremely frightened person. Crazy idiot. Does this even matter? The important thing is that that guy killed a world noble celestial dragons. And in front of Marine Admiral. Does that guy want to challenge the world government? No, that kind of behavior is basically the same as the world government declaring war. Someone realized the extremely serious consequences, and couldn't stop shaking. There is only one thought left in my mind now. Escape. You must leave this city called the Seven Waters capital far away. Because no matter how prosperous the city is on the Grand Line, it is also known as a holy place for shipbuilding. None of this matters now. With a world noble celestial dragons died here. This will definitely attract unimaginable revenge from the marine government and the world government. Even, after today, whether the capital of Seven Waters will exist or not has become an unknown. And at this time, on the deck, blue veins appeared faintly on Akainu's forehead. Cracks appeared on the phone bug on the left hand. I saw that Akainu's tone was freezing cold, and he said to the worm on the phone first. Marshal Sengoku, it appears that the culprit behind the disappearance of the celestial dragons has been found. Found it. The other end of the phone bug. Naval Headquarters meeting. Sengoku's heart sank, and he immediately asked. Who is the other party? After the voice fell, many Marine executives in the conference room were shocked and gathered together. After all, because of the world noble celestial dragons. Naval Headquarters held impromptu meetings with almost all high-level participation. Even the world government for this. He is even willing to let Akainu, who has just been promoted to Admiral, handle the celestial dragons incident first. It is conceivable how much importance this matter is now in the eyes of the marine government and the world. Unexpectedly, the discussions held at the headquarters meeting are at the same time. Akainu brings good news that is not good news. Finally, the marine government can give the world government an explanation. However, just in the heart of the marine executives, he secretly let out a sigh of relief. Akainu's next words made all the high-level officials in the conference room of Naval Headquarters change their faces drastically. The culprit is the brat who caused the failure of the arrest of the Devil's Son, and the celestial dragons, the nobles of the world, are dead. Akainu's gritted teeth echoed in the conference room from the phone bug. The faces of all marine executives changed drastically, and some even stood up and said, What? Celestial dragons? Dead? How can this be? As a high-level marine, anyone who can attend the meeting. One thing is clear without exception. That is the world aristocrat celestial dragons, in the eyes of the outside world, is an existence that must not be provoked in this sea. Because once the celestial dragons are provoked, no one can bear the consequences. But just in this case, there are still people who have the guts to kill the world's noble celestial dragons. Tianlong is already dead, things are troublesome. The Marine Vice Admiral Pelusolino, who was sitting in the back, had surprise in his eyes and rubbed his forehead. But, from the current point of view, I am afraid that the most troublesome ones will be world government and Akainu. Because there are usually senior marine executives present. They all know exactly what this means. Kill a world noble celestial dragons. This is not at the same level as the seriousness of the situation that threatens the world's noble celestial dragons. And at least the high-level presence is Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters. Most of them have the qualifications to know the truth about the past. Not all of them though. All Marines who are currently able to participate in the current meeting. We all know that before One Piece Roger, there was an extremely vicious era of pirates. And in that vicious era that was several times more cruel than today. The dominant sea force that stands out is the Rocks pirate. Although the history of that pirate group has been almost completely erased by the world government. But Rocks pirates' influence on today's era is still not completely erased. For now the New World is recognized as the Whitebeard of the Emperor of the Sea. Furthermore, Kaido who occupies Wano-kuni for the title of Emperor of the Sea, and Charlotte Linlin who occupies Wan-guo for the title of Emperor of the Sea. There is also the legendary Golden Lion who broke into naval headquarters alone a few years ago and caused countless Marines to lose their lives. These 4 people are all former people on Rocks pirate. One can imagine what kind of monster is the Rocks pirate who was once known as the Overlord of the Sea. However, even so, the fate of the Rocks pirate has not escaped the end of disbandment and collapse. And it is such a pirate group that almost gathers the top monsters in the sea, the reason why it will end up like this. Bottom line, there is only one reason. That was the leader who couldn't help the Rocks pirate at the beginning, and the Rocks tried to draw attention to the celestial dragons. This is the bottom line that the world government regards as absolutely untouchable. In a sense, this also represents the attitude of the world government. Pirates can plunder wealth, or slaughter civilians, even if they become kings themselves. World government always seems to be aloft. It will only leave most of the things to the marine government under its banner. But, once someone dares to touch the bottom line of celestial dragons, then the world government will absolutely not leave any power to erase it. Therefore, the marine executives present even think with their toes. I also understand that the occurrence of this incident represents how serious the incident has become now. And, an example of Rocks pirate has already appeared in this sea. The world government will absolutely not allow another existence that dares to challenge the world government. Then, the current Marine Marshal Sengoku understood that the seriousness of the matter was out of control, so he gritted his teeth and gave the order. Sakazuki, kill the perpetrator immediately. At the same time, the capital of 7 Waters, on the deck of a warship. Akainu heard the order from the phone bug whose hands were already cracked. He reached out and crushed the phone bug directly. It highlights the inner fluctuation of Akainu at this time. Then, Akainu looked at Bai Ye with an extremely cold face, and said, "Evil person, even if you don't need an order, you are destined to be buried here today. Let me send you to the underworld with my own hands." While speaking, a terrifying aura erupted from Akainu's body. Bai Ye heard the words. There were no waves on his face. Yes, just the indifference and coldness in the eyes. Akainu is after Bai Ye's life. Why not Bai Ye? But before that, Bai Ye also wanted to see his current strength. How long does it take to deal with a Marine Admiral? Holding the annihilating cross knife, the blood-moving pattern appeared on Bai Ye's body. Next second, this is Akainu who has already taken the first step and strikes in the suppressed anger. 043. Bai Ye's Marine Admiral Akainu, the monster of 2 monsters. A large amount of lava covered Akainu's right arm, and the scorching heat swept around like a wave of air. The moment Akainu was about to fall into the shattered port with a leap. Looking at Bai Ye with extremely cold eyes, he roared angrily. Stop trying to do any insignificant struggles. Brat. Be obedient and die for the evil crimes you committed. The sound fell. A fragmented Portland under the sky. Akainu's right arm accumulated a large amount of hot lava, and Akainu's fist suddenly blasted out. Big, fire-breathing. Boom. In an instant, it fell with Akainu's powerful attack. The entire port of the capital of 7 Waters, which was fragmented, began to vibrate violently in an instant, and the sea surged. Between carrying high-temperature lava flames, it is visible to the naked eye that a large number of nearby wreckages are constantly being lifted up, engulfed by lava, and the remaining ground is easily melted. At this moment, combined with the hot orange-red lava splashing everywhere, it is like a natural disaster to destroy everything. Akainu Admiral is doing it. That evil guy will definitely die without a place to bury him. Too powerful, Akainu Admiral. On the warship, Marine was shocked to see this scene. However, the thick dust and smoke under the terrorist attack of Akainu gradually dissipated. The tall figure of Akainu whose face became more gloomy was revealed. As well as, there is also the figure of the boy whom Marine believed to have been killed by Akainu's attack just now. The boy with black hair and red pupils was not engulfed by the hot lava. Ended up with no bones left. Or Akainu's attack pierces through. A scene that caught everyone's eyes. It was a boy with some mysterious lines on his body, who actually blocked Akainu's fierce attack with a black knife. How can it be? That guy, blocked. Marine's complexion suddenly changed, and he lost his voice. The residents of the city of 7 Waters, who had been stunned by the silence, wiped their eyes suddenly, looking at the scene in disbelief. Cheating. You're lying. That demon was able to block Marine Admiral's attack. And it's one-handed. How is that possible? It was Admiral's attack. Could it be that teenage demon has the strength to take on Marine Admiral's terrifying moves? The shocking sound continued to rise and fall near the port of the capital of 7 Waters. And at this moment, the boy's flat voice broke the atmosphere and sounded slowly. It seems that Marine Admiral's attack is nothing more than that. Bai Ye raised his head, looking directly at Akainu with indifferent eyes, containing cold eyes down to freezing point. The strength of Marine Admiral. Very strong. Well above the previously killed CP0. Quasi-Admiral strength and true Admiral level. Although it seems to be worse. But the actual results are quite different. No exaggeration to describe. Just like the gap between adults and children. But to want to deal with him to this extent, Akainu is a little too naive. Moran's red pupils flickered calmly. Next second. Bai Ye slashed at Akainu with the black knife in his hand. The veins on Akainu's forehead sprang up again, and his face was extremely gloomy. Witnessing the figure of the boy in front of him who was almost wearing kakuzu without being engulfed by the scorching hot lava. Akainu gritted his teeth and snorted coldly. This kind of attack that doesn't even come with hockey, the frog in the bottom of the well, you have to recognize the reality. A large amount of high-temperature lava emerged from Akainu's hands, and he let out a low growl. The evil person who should be wiped out. Die. Canine-tooth red lotus. The rapid growth of hot lava condenses into the shape of a dog's head as Akainu blasts out. Followed by the continuously extending dog's head made of a large amount of orange-red lava, it immediately aimed at Bai Ye's attack and bit down. Ferocious exception. Next moment, the two attacks meet. Boom. Sounded. A burst of air suddenly swept all around, but it was like a knife cutting sharply, tearing everything it swept through. At the same time, when Bai Ye and Akainu collided, it exploded instantly. Visible to the naked eye, the sea near the capital of Seven Waters was also squeezed by invisible pressure during the turbulence, bursting out huge waves of water columns. It shows how terrifying the power of its collision center is. But this time, there was no time for the rest to react. The two figures covered in dust and smoke at the center of the collision raised their knives and clenched their fists at the same time. More terrifying attacks are coming one after another. The extinguishing cross knife in Bai Ye's hand slashed from bottom to top. At the same time as raising his left hand, dozens of small holy arrows of destruction burst out from Bai Ye's fingertips, and the brilliant blue arrows galloped towards Akainu. See this scene. Akainu's face changed slightly, but still disdained to growl. A boring little trick. A large amount of lava gathered and blasted out with fists. The collision of the two moves caused a more violent explosion than the previous one. Boom. Bai Ye's next attack sideways past Akainu. Akainu's expression changed slightly as he moved again, abruptly changing the trajectory of his attack. Next moment. This is a terrifying slash that suddenly flew out of the dust and smoke behind Akainu, and went straight to the clouds in the sky. Akainu's missed attack was accompanied by a large amount of lava pushed further back in the fragmented port. And this scene changed the faces of the people watching the battle drastically. No, not good. Hurry. Run. Witnessing the hot lava that engulfs everything, it seems that nothing can stop it and destroy everything, houses, land, wrecks of ships. Rumbling. None of these can hinder the attack of the extreme terror. A large number of houses were melted and destroyed, and an unknown number of lives were lost. This blow, wait for the thick smoke to gradually dissipate. It was Akainu who almost pierced through the capital of Seven Waters. And this terrifying scene is enough to make those who witnessed this devastating battle realize clearly again just how terrifying is Marine Admiral's overwhelming combat power. Subconsciously looked at the battlefield. But it makes people almost stop breathing. Because in the sky behind Akainu, that's where the slash flew over. The entire sky seemed to be divided into two. The huge gully was imprinted under the sky just like that. And the sunlight falling from it. As a result, this scene looked extremely shocking. That level of slash. Besides, the shocked people slowly and subconsciously looked at Akainu's attack that almost pierced through the capital of Seven Waters. Cold sweat seeped down his back. Strange. Monster. Those two guys are monsters among monsters. And a bounty hunter with some knowledge. But it was even more shocking to look at the young figures on both sides of the fierce battle. Their eyes were full of shock, and their hearts were horrified. Impossible. Although Bai Ye's appearance is far from the display of Akainu's devastating and overwhelming combat power. But any swordsman will understand one thing. Able to do that. The attainment of swordsmanship has definitely at least reached the pinnacle of a swordsman. Even, it is the highest realm that countless swordsmen in this sea dream of. The great swordsman. Although I don't want to admit it. But look at the terrifying slash that tore the sky. Unimaginable. That is the realm pursued by countless swordsmen on the sea. It is even possible for a teenager to reach that supreme realm. What a terrible thing. Because, in a sense, in the eyes of the swordsman, Akainu, who possesses overwhelming combat power, is fighting against the boy. Compared to Akainu, the other party is a more terrifying existence. If someone still questioned the 1,080,000,000 Bailey reward issued by Marine before. So now I'm seeing with my own eyes what's happening here. The reward amount released by Marine is absolutely low. That's right, it's low. After all, an extremely talented monster who could reach the realm of a great swordsman in his teens. How could it be worth 1,080,000,000 Baileys to offer a reward? However, in the constant ups and downs of various crazy thoughts, A voice sounded, but it made everyone's hearts unstoppable. The boring warm-up should be over. Marine Admiral's strength is not limited to this level. In the center of the collision, Bai Ye looked at Akainu with blood on his face. His voice was not too loud, but it was clear enough for everyone who was watching now. Therefore, without exception, anyone who hears this voice. They were all horrified in their hearts, and the vibrations like huge waves couldn't stop emerging. Someone even lost his voice again on the spot. Cheat. A lie. Could it be that level of fighting? It's just warming up. Are those two monsters really human? Witnessing the aftermath nearly erased the horror of everything in the shattered port. Someone swallowed saliva, and the fear was abnormal. There were also people who fell to their knees in the ultimate shock. After all, if these are just the warm-up, before really showing strength. So, the combat power of Marine Admiral, no, it should be how strong are those two monsters really? 044. Trust. Advertise here. And at this very moment. The capital of Seven Waters. In the battle zone where a large number of people gather to shock the eyes of Ultimate. Akainu noticed that there was an extra bloodstain on his face, and the blood dripped on the lava and evaporated instantly. The coldness in Akainu's eyes was extremely gloomy. Although it's just an inconspicuous scratch. But on the first half of the Grand Line. As Admiral known as the highest combat power, he actually suffered a disadvantage at the hands of a teenager. In Akainu's view, this is a very shameful trace. Gritting his teeth, a rage welled up in Akainu's heart. Clenched hands. A large amount of lava emerged. For a while, the scorching heat in the air continued to rise. Don't be too arrogant, evil man. Akainu spoke. Afterwards, it was under the shocking eyes that anyone could move. A large amount of black smoking lava began to emerge from Akainu's body. Boom. An incomparably powerful breath suddenly descended. The shock almost spread throughout the capital of Seven Waters. Subsequently, this is a torrent of lava flowing from the feet of Akainu, wantonly encroaching on this fragmented port. Akainu himself was covered by a large amount of lava. The aura at this time has exploded several times compared to just now. Akainu's face was gloomy, he concealed his anger and said. Since you want to witness the scene of hell, I will send you to Wonquan. It's not just you. And the demon sons who escaped because of your sabotage of the marine operation, will be evils eradicated by justice. Die. Quote. Akainu's voice fell. The clenched arm bathed in lava releases lava that is several times larger than before. Akainu rushed in front of Bai Ye at the same time. The high temperature and heat wave are sweeping. Evil that will be eradicated by justice. It's really hypocritical. Watching Fury Akainu show serious strength. Bai Ye has a stern demeanor. There was a look of disdain in his eyes. In Bai Ye's view, Akainu sees himself as upholding justice. Nothing could be more hypocritical. But now that we have reached this stage, witness the attack from Akainu. Bai Ye continued to have no intention of wasting time. Feel the high temperature in the air now, like a sea of fire. There was no surprise in Bai Ye's eyes. After all, being able to become a Marine Admiral is known as the Marine government and the highest combat power of the world government. The true strength of any admiral. They are all existences that can destroy the country alone. It is no different from the mobile, natural disaster. It is indeed the existence that can be hailed as the highest combat power of Marine. Facing Akainu at this time, I am afraid that even in New World, except for those 4 Emperor's pirates in the future. No one wants to face such a monster. And normally. A monster with this level of combat power. Generally, there is no problem in fighting for a few days and nights. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a mobile, humanoid natural disaster. But, Bai Ye is not someone on the Grand Line who fears Admiral's name. Likewise, if Bai Ye is not fully sure, there will be no fight with Akainu here either. Moreover, the stronger the ability of the lava fruit revealed by Akainu, the more valuable it will be to usurp the altar. Bai Ye was extremely calm, the static blood outfit transformed into the moving blood outfit, and the black knife cut down. This angry gesture, like being stepped on by someone's tail, is really ugly. The voice fell, really good enough for a serious attack on both sides to meet. Boom. This is the first reason that the originally fragmented port is completely unable to withstand the strong pressure. It broke apart with a bang. The sea trembled violently and raised columns of water. A large amount of wreckage began to splash around. Under this strong vibration, all the people living in Seven Waters felt a strong shaking from their feet. At the same time, iceberg shipyard. What is this? Bingshan's face changed drastically, feeling the vibration from under his feet. At this moment, the door was suddenly pushed open by a craftsman. Horrified. No, it's not good, President, it's the port. It's Marine Admiral who is fighting people. What? Marine Admiral? There was shock in Bingshan's eyes. Marine Admiral. How could it appear in a place like the capital of Seven Waters? He looked towards the direction of the collapsed port not far away. Bingshan muttered to himself. Almost immediately, Bingshan ordered the people in the shipyard to hide first. However, at this moment, an even worse piece of bad news came. No, it's not good, President. Someone is taking advantage of the chaos to rob the ships that have been built. They are even kidnapping our craftsmen and robbing materials. Among them are pirates, people from other forces, and even people from some kingdoms. Another worker who ran in a panic looked at the iceberg. Bingshan heard the words. His complexion suddenly changed. Damn. Originally for the Bai Ye ship, the shipyard has already rejected a large number of original orders. The consequences were already very unpredictable for Bingshan. And now, if those previously completed but undelivered orders are robbed. Bingshan's face was extremely serious. That kind of consequence is definitely an event that is too bad to be serious. Come with me. Bingshan immediately made a decision, intending to stop those people. However, a girl's voice suddenly sounded. Leave those people to me. Who? The two shipyard employees were startled. But Bingshan couldn't believe it and looked at the girl who didn't know when she was standing outside the window. The girl was standing on the roof watching Robin fighting between Bai Ye and Akainu in the distance. While Robin was speaking, his eyes were also fixed on the direction where the port was located. Bingshan hesitated for a moment and asked, "Is it really possible?" "Don't worry," and Robin nodded. Afterwards, Robin watched as the battle at the port seemed to destroy the world. Opened the mouth and said, "This battle should not take long, and it will end soon." A small voice fell. What? But the iceberg looked in the direction of the port in disbelief. After all, from the mouth of the workers in the shipyard, Bingshan knew clearly that the side fighting over there was Marine Admiral. Possessing overwhelming combat power, enough to stand at the top of the world's top ranks among monsters. But now, he heard something. Will that fight be over soon? Could it be that? Wrong. Bingshan noticed Bai Ye who did not appear beside Robin. Suddenly, there was a shock in Bingshan's heart. Should not. The guy who fought Marine Admiral. That is, although Bingshan did not say it. It is also hard to believe the result that was not spoken at the edge of the mouth. But there is no doubt about it. The one who fought with Marine Admiral. I'm afraid it is the black-haired and red-eyed boy who came to the capital of the Seven Waters to ask him to build a ship. And the iceberg was discovered after being shocked. He didn't see any panic on Robin's face. This also explains. The other party clearly knew that the other party in the battle was Marine Admiral, who was hailed as the highest combat power by the Marine government. And it is under such conditions. To have such trust in his companions. This unimaginable absolute trust. What a huge bond is needed. Wait. Iceberg was about to say something while being shocked. But suddenly found that Robin's figure had disappeared by the window. Obviously, on the premise that Robin has absolute trust in Bai Ye. I have already dealt with the incidents caused by the snatching of ships on the other side. 045. Another chaos in the capital of Seven Waters. The other side. This is the shipyard on the other side of the capital of Seven Waters. A great chaos is breaking out. Hurry up and grab it. We must snatch the ship and leave this place of right and wrong. A monster of the Marine Admiral level. How can we fight against it? Little ones, don't forget those craftsmen when you snatch the ship. With those guys, even if we leave here, we can make a comeback sooner or later. Kill. A strong pirate man drew his sword and fought fiercely with the bounty hunter who valued the same ship. And here, the frictional flare of the clash of swords. The sound of fighting. Every now and then someone fell down and turned into a corpse. There are also terrified craftsmen who keep retreating in the face of ferocious pirates. This scene is constantly unfolding here. And not only pirates, bounty hunters, the dark forces that originally entrenched in the capital of Seven Waters have revealed their true colors. Because the ships that were originally anchored in the port were basically destroyed by Akainu. So those who survived in the city of the Seven Waters. Pirates, bounty hunters, and forces surviving in secret are all thinking about escaping from the capital of Seven Waters. They all stared at the ships that had already been built inside the shipyard. There are only so many boats. Obviously it can't accommodate so many people fighting for it. Thus, a big melee fighting broke out. Die to Lousy. Lousy saw this ship first. And in the chaotic fight that rushed to the shipyard dock. A man in sturdy clothes and a crown on his head showed terrifying strength. A large number of pirates and bounty hunters died at his hands. This made the forces that had been fighting above couldn't help but change their expressions, and they didn't dare to step forward easily. That guy, Elizabello too. The guy who was born with the title of Weapon Destroyer. Is that guy a monster too? The pirates and other horses that rushed up were easily dealt with by Elizabello too. The rest of the faces were ugly. And at this time. Your Majesty, I think this is a good opportunity. Elizabello II's entourage pulled out the weapon from the corpse of a pirate, looked at Elizabello too, and suggested. Marine Admiral seems to be entangled by someone. Although we don't know who it is, this confusion can help us get the material of treasure tree, Adam. Elizabello II's face changed slightly when he heard the words. In the capital of Seven Waters under your feet, is there anyone who can compete with Marine Admiral? A figure flashed in his mind. Elizabello too was a little unbelievable. If anyone can stand against Marine Admiral, it is the figure with the highest probability. But looking at the dock where the chaos broke out under his feet. Elizabeth II immediately made a decision. This is a good opportunity in front of us. If the young monster who got the treasure tree Adam wants to build a ship, the materials must be sent to the dock. In other words, compared to those idiots who participated in the auction house before, this is a real opportunity. Elizabeth II didn't hesitate immediately, rushed to the inside of the dock, and saw the combination of pirates and bounty hunters fighting. Elizabeth I's face sank, and his fists with boxing gloves blasted out. Immediately, the pirate and the bounty hunter, who had no time to dodge, were both knocked into the air while yelling, "Damn," and slammed into the wall and passed out. If it was normal, this scene would definitely surprise the forces in the capital of Seven Waters. As a king, Elizabeth II possessed such powerful strength. Almost unstoppable in the chaotic battle, showing the power of the title of destructive force. Pity. In this kind of dock, the interior has fallen into a situation of complete melee, robbing, and fighting. Almost all forces have gone mad. They all just want to get rid of the opponent in front of them immediately, so as to snatch a ship and leave the place of right and wrong, the capital of Seven Waters, as soon as possible. Not many people care about these anymore. But at the moment when most of the forces that snatched ships, kidnapped craftsmen, and even took away the shipbuilding tools inside the dock were about to board the ship. Suddenly, this is a holy blue ray of light suddenly flying from a distance. It directly pierced through a powerful man holding a craftsman. Immediately afterwards, after the strong man couldn't believe it, he watched the blood hole in his body turn into a corpse and fell down. This is a larger number of holy destroying arrows piercing through this chaotic fight. Keep coming here. Boom, boom, boom. Some forces that are fighting, or ordinary opponents, or robbing people have not yet reacted. They were directly shot and killed a large number of people present by this sudden attack. And this sudden change, the people who were fighting in this chaos could not help but stop one after another. What is this? This kind of attack that has no time to dodge, is it? On top, the guy who attacked. One person followed the direction of the attack and immediately shouted. The voice fell. The surviving pirates, bounty hunters, and other forces quickly looked up. Suddenly, he noticed the girl standing on a piece of cargo in the dock at some point. There was a look of anger on his face. Is that you? How dare you kill Lousy's men? That guy is. I remember it seems to be the devil's son with a reward of 180 million. Someone's expression changed. Robin identified. Because what happened in the auction house has been quietly spread to the forces with news channels. So it's not hard to spot Robin. Naturally, while recognizing. He also clearly knew how scary that girl was. But to the present situation. Even no. But anyone who tries to prevent them from leaving the capital of Seven Waters. No matter who, all die. Go. Kill her. Little ones. Realize that Robin present is the most threatening existence. People inside the dock all stared at Robin. And at this time, a pirate sneaked up behind Robin, jumped up suddenly, cut off the weapon in his hand, and his eyes burst into excitement. Ha ha ha. Is there a reward of 180 million? No matter how terrifying your attack is, as long as you get close, there's nothing you can do about it. It seems that Lousy's luck is really good. You don't have that monster by your side. Use your head before you leave to help Lousy make a comeback and enter the new world. The weapon pierced the air and fell straight down. However, in the eyes of this pirate captain, accompanied by the weapon being less than a few minutes away from the girl's neck, he has firmly taken the head worth 180 million Baileys. Result. The weapon fell on the flesh and blood. But there was no blood spatter. Or the scene where Robin's white neck is severed. But under the emergence of some kind of azure blue lines. The sharp weapon rubbed off sparks. It is Robin who, as Bai Ye's direct line of destroyers, has the ability, static blood outfit. How can it be? The pirate's eyes widened. However, Robin had turned around by this time. The sacred destroying arrows converge on the bowstring. Wait. The pirate's expression changed drastically. The voice has not yet fallen. A holy destroying arrow has been fired. He directly nailed the sneak attacking pirate and his body to a ship far away from the dock, and died. Damn it, did the sneak attack fail? Down below, seeing this scene, the rest of the people looked ugly. Seeing this scene, Elizabeth II couldn't help but think. That guy is very dangerous. And that girl appeared. It also indicates that there may not be so many opportunities here. But, considering his king's fist, Elizabeth looked at Robin who didn't have Bai Ye by his side. For the precious tree Adam. Elizabeth II gritted his teeth and shouted around. Create an opportunity for this king. Her attack can only kill about 30 people at a time, only one distance. This king is sure to kill her. This voice is Elizabeth II. Did that guy also take advantage of the chaos to come here? However, it is rumored that that guy's king's fist possesses the terrifying power that even if the Emperor of the Sea is hit, he will be killed in an instant. In this situation, I can only choose to trust that guy. The rest of the forces looked at each other and gritted their teeth. If they were to face Robin alone, no one in the room could be sure. But considering the rumors of Elizabeth II, even if the rumors are a bit exaggerated to the point of being outrageous, But there can be rumors of that kind. The side also illustrates the extraordinary strength of Elizabello too. Furthermore, now inside the dock, although hundreds of people have died, there are still hundreds of people alive due to the mix of various forces. Even with the lives of his subordinates, it may not be impossible to create opportunities for Elizabello too. Thinking of this, the forces present gritted their teeth and confirmed with Elizabello too. Order your men to rush directly to Robin. And at this very moment, Robin witnessed this scene. There was no panic on the girl's face. Because the Holy Destroying Arrow cooperates with Devil Fruit's previous ability in the auction house. Robin never said that was all her strength. Well known. The Holy Destroying Arrow is just the basic ability that all Quincy Masters can use. 046. A monster capable of threatening the entire sea and even changing the future era. Advertise here. Then, witnessing the scene where the collective force inside the dock ordered his subordinates to rush forward collectively. Robin was not in a hurry, but continued to knock his arrow. Thereafter, it was only at the moment when a large number of people and horses were about to approach. Swish. It was a beam of light suddenly rising from Robin's feet. The air wave that was set off directly blew a large number of people out. Followed by, as the air began to tremble uncontrollably, a huge reiatsu began to descend here. Those people who were blown away have not yet reacted. Then I was shocked to find that my body was crushed to the ground by invisible strong pressure in the next second, as if it was filled with lead. It was extremely heavy, and it was almost impossible to move. At the same time, when the blue beam of light covering Robin's body shattered like a mirror, it dissipated like a star in front of many people. This is an unbelievable scene that caught the eyes of everyone present. It was a pair of light wings exuding azure blue spirits blooming behind the girl. While exuding a mysterious and sacred color, the powerful invisible pressure descending enough to distort the air. At the same time, it is also reminding those present. The number of people has lost its meaning at this moment. If anyone from the Shinigami world sees this scene, their faces will definitely change dramatically. Because of Robin's image today, it just symbolizes the state of the Quincy Master entering the complete holy body. And in this state, the strength of the Quincy will be like the Shinigami who opened Bankai. Compared with before, the strength is not in the same concept at all. At the same time, the place where Bai Ye and Akainu fought. Boom, boom, boom. This moment, the entire port of the capital of Seven Waters, which is large enough to accommodate hundreds of large ships, has completely collapsed. The nearby buildings and houses collapsed completely. The scorching heat contained in the air seemed to engulf everything. But nearby the air was trembling violently, and the sea couldn't stop churning. The two figures were fighting fiercely. The terrifying lava released by Akainu seems to be able to melt everything, and any attack that falls on it will cause the entire city of the Seven Waters to vibrate. With any slash that Bai Ye flew out, the rest of his power could tear apart the end of the distant sea. Or is it just the aftermath of this terrifying battle that escapes from time to time? Quote. Google. What kind of monster is that guy? He actually has the strength to compete with Akainu Admiral. On the warship. At this moment, the Marines who watched the battle were shocked to the extreme. Unbelievable to witness that scene. Feel the high temperature escaping in the air under this sky. If they were standing in that kind of place, I am afraid. Everyone felt a tingling scalp. With their strength, it is estimated that if they can't hold on for even a second, they will be immediately engulfed by the merciless pouring of high-temperature lava. One can imagine, in that battlefield that has almost completely turned into a lava field. The temperature released by the lava alone has reached such a terrifying level. However, it is this kind of blazing hell environment that almost no one can approach. The teenager didn't seem to be affected in any way. Fight with Marine Admiral, who is known as the highest combat power, and fight fiercely. Although that is a fact that they cannot believe. But everything that happened in front of my eyes. Constantly shaking their nerves. But it points to a fact. That was the boy who was obviously only in his teens, and even a few years younger than the fledgling young people in this sea. But it has the strength enough to compete with the Marine Admiral level. It is easy to think of a problem. Teens have the power to take on Marine Admiral. So, as he grows older, how strong will that boy be in the future? And most of all, such a talented monster that may have never been born in this sea. Now he is standing on the opposite side of the Marine government and the world government. He even beheaded the celestial dragons of the nobles of the world with his own hands. One can imagine, if once let the opponent leave the battle. As the time goes, it will definitely become a disaster on this sea, and even the world. A terrifying thought was born in the bottom of my heart, and immediately. No matter what, absolutely can't let that guy live. This is what Marine thinks today on a warship. After all, if the young man beheaded the celestial dragons in public, he would still be considered a lunatic. Overwhelmed and delusional to challenge the rights of the world government. So here and now, with the strength shown by the boy against the Marine Admiral with overwhelming combat power. An idea popped up in the hearts of all the people watching the battle. Maybe, that's really not delusional, one can imagine. Anyway, Marine must not let it live. Now they don't doubt at all why they are only in the first half of the Grand Line. The world government needs to send an Admiral-level fighter. Because that boy exists in itself. Whether it is the Marine government or the world government, absolutely cannot allow terrorist threats to exist in this world. That is a monster with incomparable talent that can affect the future era, and even subvert the entire pattern of the sea. Quick, help Akainu Admiral. In any case, it cannot be allowed to live. That's right, even if you can't help Akainu Admiral, interfere with that guy. On the warship, the shocked Marine gritted her teeth. Immediately began to turn the muzzle. Target Bai Ye, who was fighting Akainu. Next second, just when they were about to intervene. Abnormal protrusion. The lava attack released by Akainu is split in two. Followed by, when the slash hit the ground, the scalding lava field instantly disappeared into pieces. It was a pool of lava flying upside down. Observe carefully. You will find that it is not the lava splashed out in the aftermath of the collision. It's Akainu bathing in lava. That's Akainu Admiral. How can it be? Has Akainu Admiral been repelled? Marine's heart sank collectively on the warship. The faces of the rest of the people watching the battle in the capital of Seven Waters also changed dramatically. Marine Admiral at a disadvantage. If this is true, this is definitely the biggest humiliation Marine Admiral has ever suffered in the first half of the Grand Line. It would actually be injured at the hands of a teenage boy. As for Akainu, will lose or be beheaded. Those present did not think about it. Because it is a monster with that level of combat power. Physical strength can almost continue to fight for days and nights. Even though he may suffer some minor injuries by accident, the absolute vitality is far beyond what ordinary people can imagine. After all, since the establishment of Marine, in the perception of the outside world. But there has never been a record of Marine's highest combat power death. Not to mention, no matter how strong Bai Ye is, in the eyes of anyone watching the battle today. After all, he's just a teenager. Even if the talent is pervert. Possesses strength that can compete with Marine Admiral. But it's just a competition, that's all. It is absolutely impossible to have the strength to kill Marine Admiral. With this thought in mind, this battle is now. The hearts of everyone here in the capital of Seven Waters have been lifted to their throats. However, this moment, the place where Bai Ye and Akainu fought. Bai Ye looked at Akainu, who showed a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth not far away, but his combat power and state were basically unaffected, and sighed secretly in his heart. Sure enough, with my current strength, it would be very difficult to kill Marine Admiral with just the static blood costume and the moving costume, but. Bai Ye looked down at the annihilating cross knife in his hand, which was faintly corroded by lava, and looked at Akainu again. If it's just to test my normal state against Marine Admiral's strength, this battle is enough. From the beginning, Bai Ye never thought that he could defeat or even kill Akainu with just swordsmanship and physique. If the Admiral-level combat power is that weak, Bai Ye doesn't need to form his own star-crossed knights. But, under normal circumstances, it cannot be defeated and beheaded. This doesn't mean that Bai Ye really can't do it. Akainu has now put out more than half of his full strength. The whole cards in his hand have not been used for a long time. Now Bai Ye's test is almost done. So, Bai Ye raised his head, looked at Akainu and said slowly with indifference. It is also time to draw an ending to this battle. 047. Ursing the altar activates, the ability to capture the fruit of Akainu. Ending. Hot lava that bathes the temperature-distorted space. The coldness in Akainu's eyes deepened upon hearing this, and he snorted coldly. Don't be kidding. Your weapons are almost burned out. This battle is destined to belong to Marine justice. Akainu finished. Suddenly. Akainu noticed that Bai Ye not far away had voluntarily given up the black knife in his hand. Akainu was taken aback for a moment, and then a large amount of lava continued to emerge from his fist, and said in a deep voice. Is it because you clearly understand that evil is doomed to fail here, so you already plan to give up? Give up, standing on the ruins at your feet. Bai Ye's tone at this moment has returned to calm. You seem to have made a mistake. Bai Ye looked at Akainu, who was accumulating lava moves in front of him, and said slowly. From the beginning, the dominance of this battle did not exist in the hands of Marine. Whether it starts or ends is just in my mind. And now, I need to test something is over, in other words. Now it has come to the end stage. What? Akainu's face suddenly sank, and the scorching lava accumulated on his fist burst out suddenly, and he shouted angrily. Stop joking. An arrogant guy who only speaks out. Great eruption. The voice fell. Akainu jumped up. Tens of meters of lava enough to melt the iceberg was like a volcanic eruption. Carrying the aura of destroying everything, it suddenly struck. Witnessed this scene. Bai Ye looked calm at this time, only the red pupils remained indifferent. Next second. Face a large amount of blasting lava that spews out. Bai Ye stood where he was and didn't move a step this time. He spread out the 5 fingers of his right hand, revealing the true ability of Quincy. This is before Akainu's attack comes. Boom, boom, boom. There was a violent vibration. This is Bai Ye's own feet and surroundings began to rise a huge azure blue light wall, completely isolating all enemies to the outside. Next moment, when Akainu's horrific iceberg melting lava attacks first touched this absolute realm, an astonishing scene appeared. It was as if the endless Tao holy arrows were emitting brilliance, instantly tearing Akainu's attack that violated the domain into pieces. This is Akainu, who originally wanted to go forward and kill Bai Ye in one fell swoop, was shocked. Looking at the azure blue wall of light that seemed to rise from the god's realm, all over him. Akainu gritted his teeth and stagnated his figure with moonwalk abruptly. Then the moment he landed, Akainu distanced himself from Bai Ye without hesitation. Although it was only for a short moment. But the moment of approaching that realm, Akainu's pupils showed a hint of surprise. He actually felt a huge threat from it. And the attack that was shattered by the endless sacred arrows just now. It also symbolizes that Akainu's judgment is correct. The unknown territory within the wall of light is enough to threaten his existence. You bastard. Then he looked at the young man who seemed to be wrapped in the god's domain. Akainu's face was ugly, and he gritted his teeth and said, "What the hell did it do? Could it be that you are hiding your strength?" Quote. "Nothing. I just want you to experience it for yourself." Bai Ye's red pupils looked indifferently at Akainu, who had keen intuition, and stretched out his right hand. This battle, everything, has been doomed from the very beginning, including the final outcome of this battle. What? Akainu was taken aback for a moment, then the veins on his forehead popped up, and he roared angrily. Quote. What are you kidding? You bastard. And at the same time, the people watching the battle saw this scene. Unbelievable subconsciously appeared on his face. Although they didn't know why Bai Ye suddenly gave up the black knife and gave up swordsmanship on his own initiative. But as the mysterious azure blue light wall around Bai Ye appeared, they just saw an unbelievable scene with their own eyes. That is, Marine Admiral Akainu clearly planned to kill the opponent, but chose to retreat at the last moment. And the boy didn't raise his hand at all. This means this is Akainu's own choice as the first to attack. What the hell is, what happened? Why did Akainu Admiral take the initiative to back down? Does that monster have other means? There are also those walls of light, are they some kind of devil fruit ability? That guy, besides a swordsman, is also an ability user. Cheat, lie, does that guy need other powers? The eyes of those watching the battle widened, unable to believe the figure of the young man looking at the terrifying battlefield. And right now, standing under the blue sky of the capital of Seven Waters, Bai Ye felt the breath of the Quincy on the other side. He turned his head and glanced in Robin's direction. Then, in this short moment, this is the scene where Akainu uses Dark Hound to sneak attack. Akainu saw the attack since he couldn't get close to Bai Ye. Then Akainu simply relied on his experience to destroy everything that could be settled under Bai Ye's feet. Then take advantage of the moment when the strange domain barrier disappears. Akainu decided to seize the opportunity and unleashed the most powerful attack. Kill Bai Ye in one fell swoop. Arrogant brat. The battle experience between us. It's beyond what you can imagine. Let this whole city go to the underworld with you. I saw that Akainu used lava to smash the collapsed foundation of the entire port while countless people were shocked. At this moment, the weird light curtain surrounding Bai Ye finally disappeared. When Akainu saw this, it was the temperature released by a large amount of hot lava. At this moment, the sea near it boiled, and the evaporation continued to rise towards the sky. Afterwards, Akainu accumulated enough hot lava to destroy the entire seven water capitals. Witnessed a scene. Those who dared to watch the battle from a distance felt that there was already a heat wave, and the collective face changed drastically, and their hearts were terrified. That guy, is Marine Admiral crazy. He wants to destroy the entire capital of Seven Waters in a frenzy. Run fast. The crowd watching the battle in the capital of Seven Waters rang out in horror. On the warship, Marine's scalp almost burst. Is this the true full strength of Akainu Admiral? Strange. Monster. This kind of power can no longer be described by human beings. It's simply a mobile disaster, right? But at this moment, look at the boy who lost the light curtain field. No, they had no doubts. I'm afraid Akainu Admiral is really planning to take advantage of this blow. He intends to bury the monster that absolutely cannot be allowed to survive, and the entire capital of Seven Waters together. However, I am afraid that everyone present will not think of it. Sanctuary praise was revoked by Bai Ye on his own initiative. At the same time, Bai Ye was waiting for the moment when Akainu took out all the lava fruits with all his strength. Facing Akainu's full force attack that can almost destroy the entire seven water capitals. Bai Ye stood in midair and raised his hands. This is a star metal, condensed and appeared. Accompanied by the ability to usurp the altar. Next second. This is a scene that gradually made Akainu unbelievable under the moving expression on Akainu's face. 048. Shake the world, kill Akainu, Bai Ye, it seems that the fun is over. Advertise here. This is the end of Yuxing. Accompanied by Bai Ye's opening room. A jet black cross suddenly magnified in Akainu's pupils. Followed by the azure blue light released by the star marks the moment it touches Akainu and releases a full attack. All the hot lava seems to be forcibly eroded by some force. I saw that the scorching lava that could destroy the entire capital of 7 waters in one blow suddenly began to rush madly towards the cross star. Whether it's the scorching heat, or the pouring lava that can engulf everything. Gradually, this is what Bai Ye witnessed. The scorching heat that swept across the sky began to dissipate. It seems that the endless pouring lava disappeared in large numbers. After being melted and cooled by lava, it began to reveal the dark and crumbling surface. In the end, all the power of Logia lava fruit gathered inside the star badge in Bai Ye's hand. Bai Ye felt the hidden power inside the star chapter. Capture the power of Logia lava fruit, success. You bastard. What the hell did you do? Now, Akainu noticed that the nearby lava also disappeared. He stared at Bai Ye firmly in place. Akainu gritted his teeth and was about to release the lava fruit attack again immediately. Next second, Akainu's black-gloved fist didn't have any hot, high-temperature lava coming out. Witnessed this scene, Akainu subconsciously looked at the fist that did not release the lava, his pupils shrank, and his face changed drastically. Quote. How is that possible? What the hell is this? He raised his head and subconsciously looked around. Pat, a drop of raindrops sounded. It fell into the hands of Akainu. It just means that all the power will disappear as all the hot lava evaporates. The steam accumulated in this sky began to turn into heavy rain. Clatter. Standing in this heavy rain created by Akainu himself, feel the freezing temperature that the rain has never had before. Akainu stared at his hands in disbelief. His devil fruit ability. Why can't it be released? No, not right. Akainu clenched his fist tightly with 5 fingers, and there was a touch of shock in his eyes. It's not that they can't be released. As the Logia lava fruit ability user himself, Akainu suddenly found that he could no longer feel any connection with the Logia lava fruit in his body. As if he has never eaten a Logia lava fruit. Akainu's pupils flickered, showing that his heart could not stop ups and downs at this moment. What the hell is this? At the same time, a large amount of water vapor accumulated in the sky above the previous battle turned into a torrent of water. All those who were fleeing in panic in the face of Akainu's all-out effort to destroy the entire capital of 7 waters stopped. He looked up in shock at the sudden downpour of rain falling from the sky. Unbelievable said. What happened? Have we been killed by Marine Admiral's attack? This heavy rain. No. The burning sensation in the air has disappeared, and what happened to the disappearing lava? Could it be that Marine Admiral was just pretending? Didn't he intend to destroy the entire capital of the 7 waters? I just knew that no matter how extreme Marines guys are, how could they unscrupulously attack civilians? What's the difference between doing that and pirates? But this sudden change, the scorching weather with heat waves in the air just now, did Marine Admiral kill the opponent? All kinds of doubts kept rising from the hearts of those who thought they were going to die. And on the warship watching the battle. Akainu Admiral, what the hell is it doing? Why was the attack cancelled? And this heavy rain, did Akainu Admiral change his mind? Akainu Admiral, is this the plan? Marine also looked in disbelief at the 2 blurred figures in the icy rain that fell on the devastated and dark ground. The other side, Naval Headquarters, meeting room. Akainu, what the hell are you doing? The opportunity to destroy the evil just now. Why didn't Akainu release it to attack at the last moment? Sengoku watched the scene where the projection phone insects built by the soldiers were on. Can't help but get up and grit your teeth. Akainu Admiral, what is he thinking? Sitting on the conference table, Marine Rear Admiral's face changed slightly. Hey, Akainu isn't really soft on civilians, is he? It's really a strange thing. An inappropriate voice sounded. It was Marine Vice Admiral Pelusolino who cut the nails. Pelusolino looked at the blurred picture on the projection phone bug. There was a look of surprise on his face. Akainu. Ah no, it should be Sakazuki who definitely represents the style of hawks and wolves. Did that guy really change his style after being promoted to Admiral? If this is true, when Akainu comes back, Pelusolino decides to take a good look to see if this Sakazuki is still the Akainu he knows. Damn it, Akainu Admiral gave up such a good opportunity at the end. What is this? Akainu Admiral. The rest of Vice Admiral's face also changed, and they spoke in disbelief. Although Naval Headquarters uses the projection phone bug to transmit the battle screen of the capital of 7 waters here halfway. Presented in front of everyone at this headquarters meeting. But from there enough was a scalp-numbing fight. One thing has been assured without a doubt. That was the boy with black hair and red eyes above. Definitely a pervert talented enough to surpass any monster in this sea. Although I don't know where the world government got this news. But send Akainu who has just been promoted to Admiral to obliterate the opponent. Now no one doubts the decision of the world government. Because the kind of teenagers who have the strength to fight against Marine Admiral. The monster who committed the act of killing the noble celestial dragons of the world with his own hands. It's an existential threat. It is definitely not inferior to those monsters entrenched in New World who are known as the Emperor of the Sea. No, not even considering the teenager's age. This level of threat is even higher. Because just now, they were surprised to find that the Devil's Son could have been captured by only the colonel of the Marine branch. He even easily killed a large number of pirates with bounties one day ago. Although I don't know exactly what has changed so much. But vaguely sure. This incident is definitely related to that boy with black hair and red eyes. In the Marineford conference room, Marine couldn't believe why Akainu had stopped. Marine Vice Admiral Crane's face gradually revealed a dignified look. With her knowledge of Akainu's combat power is matched with his rich combat experience. There's absolutely no way Akainu can't see that's the best chance for a kill. Same. Others may hold back, but Zegan, known for his hawkish style, is not. Absolutely impossible. Therefore, only one answer left. He focused his eyes on the blurred figure of a young boy bathing in the heavy rain on the projection. It must be what the other party did. At the same time. Mariejois. World Government. The meeting room of the Five Elders, known as the Supreme Power. Damn it. What the hell is that Akainu guy doing? That arrogant worst bloodline. Instead of dying like this, he dared to take the initiative to kill the celestial dragons, the nobles of the world. That guy is expressing his dissatisfaction with the world government over the incident that shamed the Holy Land back then, so he intends to fight against the world government as a world disaster. The Five Elders with blonde hair and beards secretly monitor Naval headquarters projections. Looking at the picture transmitted by the capital of 7 waters above, he clenched his fists tightly, and there was a coldness in his eyes. Sure enough, Marine is Marine, are you sticking to those boring bottom lines of justice? There was a look of disdain in the eyes of the tall Five Elders with long white beards. You can't even do what a running dog should do. I think it is necessary to consider whether to revoke that guy Admiral's position. After finishing speaking, he stared coldly at the figure of Zigo in the heavy rain on the projection. However, on the other side, it was wearing Taoist robes, holding first-generation Goosh, and the bald Five Elders ignored the two who spoke. Instead, his face was dignified, and he looked at Five Elders J. Golusia Satan, who had a birthmark on his forehead and a fluffy beard. He said solemnly and slowly, "Have you noticed? In the attack just now, it wasn't that Marine Admiral Akainu took the initiative to stop, but rather." Quote. Five Elders, with a birthmark on his forehead and a thick mustache, looked up and interrupted. It's the person whose bloodlines should be erased who used some kind of power to cause this result, right? What? Isn't Marine Admiral out of concern for the civilians in the capital of 7 waters? Five Elders, who had blonde hair and beard and was the youngest in appearance, suddenly changed his face when he heard the words. Five Elders with long beard and long hair stared at Five Elders with bald head. What does it mean? The bald Five Elders saw this, but did not speak yet. With a fluffy white beard, a flat hat, and a scepter in hand, Five Elders J. Golusia Satan raised his head, revealing his cold eyes under the brim of his hat, and said slowly. It was some kind of power that caused Marine Admiral's attack to disappear after touching the lava. Although I don't know what it was, this feeling always gives me a familiar power. What? Make the power released by Devil Fruit disappear. Five Elders with blonde hair and beard suddenly thought of something, his face changed, and he said. Could it be that the despicable blood that should be wiped out ate the most evil? Before the words fell, Five Elders, who had blonde hair and beard, saw a solemn expression on the faces of the others, and under this solemnity, there was an absolute coldness hidden. As the group of existences who control the pinnacle of world power on the bright side. They know many secrets about this world. Among them, the power of various fruits is naturally not surprising. And in all Devil Fruit abilities, can make Five Elders feel deja vu, from a deep memory area. Although it has been decades since that incident. But anyone who has experienced the events of the Valley of the Gods. I will never forget the Devil Fruit that is enough to be named the most evil by Guan Yu. And the previous owner of the fruit also set off the history of the previous era that has been covered up by the world government now. Rock's Pirate, the most vicious pirate in history headed by a group of monsters Rocks. One can imagine, asking for flowers, if their guesses are true. Possesses the impure blood that should be erased the most in the world, and has the worst fruit ability in the world. In front of Marine Admiral again. Face, and killed the celestial dragons, the pure-blooded nobles of the world. Such a guy, absolutely, it cannot be allowed to live. With this in mind, Five Elders is preparing to order the Marine government to continue sending troops to reinforce. Suddenly, this is Five Elders, the blonde and bearded staring at the picture, his complexion changed drastically, and the doctor said. How is that possible? That guy, at the same time. The capital of 7 waters. Clatter, clatter. Heavy rain poured down on the devastated charred and crumbling surface. Are you looking for this? Bai Ye looked at the moved Akainu. Akainu hadn't recovered yet, but it was accompanied by a sudden, shua. That was enough to make the whole world pay attention to this battle, and everyone stood up. The scorching hot lava once again appeared on the sea. The heat wave released was enough to forcibly evaporate the downpour, and white steam filled the entire battlefield. However, what subverts everyone's worldview is, the one who unleashes this scorching heat is not Akainu. It was the boy who was constantly attacked by Logia lava fruit. What the hell is, Google, the strength in that guy's hand? Am I right? Cheat, lie, that seems to be Akainu Admiral's fruit ability. This brief moment, on the warship, The marine soldiers were so frightened and shocked that they turned their backs, their pupils widened. Point 0. Among the onlookers, they only felt the terrifying suffocation that suddenly swept through the whole body from the soles of their feet. What did they see? That was the familiar hot lava power. Not on Marine Admiral, it actually appeared in that boy's hand. This moment, as the naval headquarters and world government people on the other side who couldn't control their emotions witnessed this scene, their hearts were horrified, and they stood up suddenly and shouted, "Impossible." This moment, the battlefield where the rain was pouring down again began to be evaporated by the scorching temperature. There was no longer a hint of fear in Akainu's eyes, staring at the familiar high-temperature power of lava released from Bai Ye's hands. "No, it's impossible, you bastard. Is it all about you?" The voice fell. Akainu couldn't help roaring, and the veins on his forehead popped up. "Asshole." After the words fell, Akainu habitually released the power of the lava fruit. But when he felt that there was no power of lava fruit on his fist, Akainu gritted his teeth and roared, releasing armament hockey on his fist. "Although I don't know what method you used, don't underestimate it too much. Even without fruit power, I am enough to kill you." The ground under Akainu's feet collapsed, and he released his armed fists to strike. However, the hot lava disappeared from Bai Ye's hands again. Akainu was taken aback for a moment. "I don't understand what Bai Ye in front of me is planning to do." But in the next second, with the black knife condensed in Bai Ye's hand, he used the weapon to draw an arc in the air. The heavy rain fell on the battlefield again. This is the azure blue light suddenly appearing above the head and rising. I saw that it was a huge spiritual bow, and the bowstring was slowly pulled away. A huge god-tier holy annihilation that contained a deadly threat emerged above the holy bow. Akainu's face changed drastically. He thought the opponent was planning to kill him with this move. However, in the next second, a huge sacred loss was released in front of Bai Ye and landed heavily on the ground. Followed by, when the dust and smoke cleared, it was only then that Akainu discovered that it was a huge lightsaber made of the purest Quincy reishi, shining a dazzling blue light, pierced directly into the ground. Large sacred loss. And at this very moment, Bai Ye took a step forward, stretched out his hand to hold the lightsaber that released the light of the blue spirit. The moment the robe fluttered. This is an unprecedented wave of Reiatsu coming to this place. Boom. The sea shook violently, and the sky thundered and thundered. The pouring rain seemed to be forcibly distorted by some force. In an instant, a blank field without any erosion from raindrops appeared centered on Bai Ye. At the same time, all the people living in the entire capital of Seven Waters, and even the distant islands. Everyone felt the pressure of this terrifying terror. The body fell to the ground uncontrollably. And in front of this force that is enough to shock people's hearts. This is the marine warship moored at sea has been affected and began to deform, the deck is distorted, and the warship makes an unbearable sound. And the scene at this moment. If it is placed in the outside world, it will inevitably cause great disturbances in Xuanyuan. Because at this moment, all the people who are suppressed by this seemingly endless Reiatsu, to some extent, seem to be bowing down to the red-eyed boy who has the temperament of an aloof emperor at this moment. And at this time, the center of the battlefield. Bai Ye's red pupils looked at Akainu, whose defeat was decided, and raised his lightsaber. 049. Killing Admiral alone is enough to break the balance monster of the era. It seems that the real sideshow has come to an end. Accompanied by Bai Ye's flat voice, it fell. Boom. Boom. Akainu looked at the endless Reiatsu centered on the boy's body and poured out in all directions. Shocking noticed the hundreds of meters of empty space above the head that was directly distorted by the terrifying pressure, and the heavy rain could not fall. Akainu looked at Bai Ye and his expression changed dramatically. "You bastard, is the owner of Conqueror's hockey. Such a horrible hockey." Akainu endured the pressure from his body, causing the dark ground under his feet to crack. I also noticed that the sea in the distance was unable to contain the ripples that spread outwards, and began to form a picture of huge waves rolling. All of them demonstrate Bai Ye's incomparable strength after showing his real whole cards. At this time, Akainu stared at Bai Ye's indifferent red pupils that made his heart palpitate and fear, gritted his teeth and roared unwillingly. "You bastard. Who the hell? What kind of ambitions do you have? Don't you really want to challenge the world government with your overwhelming strength?" Facing Akainu who gritted his teeth and roared, Bai Ye did not have any positive response. This moment, there was only calm on Bai Ye's face. Raise the blooming azure blue lightsaber. Start by ending this fight. Don't worry, when you die, no matter the hypocritical marine. Pay back the world government behind you, the rubbish living on Mariejois, sooner or later all of these will usher in a subversive fate. And anyone who gets in the way, I will kill none of them, just. You are doomed not to witness. Quote. The calm voice fell. Bastard, bastard, damn it. Akainu let out a roar, clenched his fists in an attempt to attack first. However, after all the power of the Logia lava fruit was taken by usurping the altar. Akainu Hikari relies on his own body skills in hockey. The strength has fallen enough to be called the Marine Admiral level of overwhelming combat power. Then face Bai Ye who showed his true strength. One ebbs and another. Akainu hasn't stepped forward yet. The lightsaber condensed by the sacred loss in Bai Ye's hand has been cut off. At this moment, the whole world seemed to fall into silence. Akainu didn't have any room to hide, and all the weaknesses of his body were exposed in front of Bai Ye's red pupils. Even between the lightsaber with the flowing blue light and the dilated pupils of Akainu. Akainu didn't have much time to react or struggle at all. It's that simple. Wait for Akainu to come back to his senses. Here is an incredible view of Akainu plummeting directly onto the charred, crumbling surface. In this perspective, Akainu could see clearly. His lower body, which was still standing on the spot and was about to raise his foot to launch an attack, had already been cut into two by the oblique cut. That upper body has disappeared. And this scene. This means, the Marine government also serves as one of the highest combat forces in the world government. Just promoted to the Admiral position this morning. Marine Admiral Akainu, dead. Did not die in the hands of those monster pirates known as the Emperor of the Sea in the second half of the New World Grand Line. Or die in a terrible war of great proportions. Rather Akainu from before departure. I never dreamed of it. This trip to the capital of Seven Waters is under the obliteration task issued by the world government. As the Marine Admiral known as the highest combat power. Possesses overwhelming deterrent power in the first half of the Grand Line. How could he just die in the first half of the Grand Line, where the pirates are so weak? And it was still a boy who was not even an adult, only a teenager. Lives are killed here, since we are ready to put people to death, from the very beginning. Bai Ye looked down at Akainu who had lost his life under his feet, and when the sacred and condensed lightsaber in his hand dissipated, he said slowly. You should be prepared to die here. The voice fell. Bai Ye's voice is not very loud. However, in today's battleground, the seemingly endless Reiatsu descends. But it is clear enough to pass into everyone's ears. Same. It is also this moment. A person who was trying to forcibly stand up, or a marine on a warship. They fell into a deathly silence. For a long time. In this sea area where the heavy rain falls, I feel the rain slapping on my face, but this time it brings an unprecedented coldness. Only then did some people gradually begin to come back to their senses. The huge fear was hidden in the eyes, and the trembling that could not be concealed was revealed in the tone, and he stammered and murmured. It's not, is it? Marine Admiral, a monster of a monster. Die here. Cheat. Lie, that kind of monster with overwhelming strength, how could it be possible? Subconsciously looked at the area that was isolated from the heavy rain by Reiatsu. Although it could not fall into it due to the heavy rain, a blank field was formed. But through the vague figure, everyone's heart began to beat violently. Cold sweat gradually wet his forehead and back. The whole body and mind, and even the body subconsciously feel trembling. Because of the sight, the two monsters formed a scorched and collapsed battlefield area like a natural disaster. Now there is only one with the red pupils that makes people dare not stand with the red-eyed boy. Looking at that moment, he looked like a young figure of a lone emperor. As for the Marine Admiral monster, they never thought they would lose, or even die here. The bloody lower body. This is a terrifying and clear scene. It was frantically shaking the nerves of everyone who saw this scene. Ocean. Marine Admiral. Really lost. And that kind of monster with overwhelming combat power that has already left the category of human. Die in this battle, if nothing unexpected, since the birth of the first half of the Grand Line. There's never been a Marine Admiral killed in action, has there? Immediately, it was a terrifying idea that appeared in the minds of everyone present. I am afraid, as things here pass to the outside world. The whole world is about to change because of what happened here. Because of this sea, there was no prior ambush. There is no helper either. But he has the monster that killed Marine Admiral by himself. And the scariest thing is, at the age of that monster. No one has any doubts. That is absolutely impossible to be the upper limit for the opponent's strength to continue to grow. At the same time, Naval headquarters, a conference room where high-level executives gather. The atmosphere has fallen into dead silence, facing the screen projected on the phone bug. For a long time, someone looked up at the shocking image of Akainu's body looming. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. ... Fake. Akainu Admiral, how could it be possible to lose too? None of this should be true, right? Right. Marshal Sengoku. How could a monster with Admiral combat power die in such a place? Some people can no longer accept the facts and try to paralyze themselves. Everyone was silent in such a deadly silent atmosphere, subconsciously looking at Marshal Sengoku. However, located in this moment, Sengoku serves as the Marine Marshal who commands the entire Marine. Surprisingly, he didn't say a word. 573 But if you can notice Sengoku's face, you will find that Sengoku is in a huge shock and has not yet recovered. Obviously, Sengoku never imagined that Akainu, who possesses the strength of Marine Admiral, would fail, or even end up dead. Even, according to Sengoku's memories from long ago. Since the Valley of the Gods incident. The sea so far. There has been no record of a Marine Admiral being killed in action in decades. With the same Admiral-level combat power, Sengoku clearly understands it. Kill and can defeat Marine Admiral, as well as fight Marine Admiral. Not a concept at all. The three are not even comparable. Because they have reached their level of combat power. The physical strength is enough to support the battle for several days and nights. Even if you lose, it also definitely has the power to break away from any battle. It is precisely because of this that the pirate monsters entrenched in New World who are now hailed as the Emperor of the Sea are such a headache for the Marine government. On the contrary, the same goes for Marine Admiral. The modern era. The Marine government and the New World pirates have been in a stage of friction all year round, but there have been no cases of high-end combat deaths on both sides. Then, under the blessing of the Shichibukai system proposed by the world government. Only then gradually formed the three-legged balance, looming on the sea today. Therefore, accompanied by the death of a Marine Admiral-level combat force. This is not as simple as the meaning behind Marine's loss of an Admiral-level combat force. Instead, such a monster with the combat power to kill Marine Admiral alone appeared on the sea. The balance of the world today and in the future. It is a situation that is bound to be ushered in and broken. And the scariest, it is the last monster that should appear at this time. It just happens to be the object that the world government requires to be erased. It seems that the real sideshow has come to an end. 050. Wrath of the Five Elders, Knights of the Gods. The other side. Holy place. Mariejois. World government. The only empty room is the room where the Five Elders are. How can it be? Did that guy kill a Marine Admiral class combat force by himself? Five Elders, blonde and bearded, stood up abruptly. He stared fixedly at the live broadcast of the seven water capitals on the projection screen. Five Elders, with long white beard and long hair, had a very gloomy face. Those who try to subvert the world government will kill all those who stand in the way. Gritting his teeth and repeating every word, Five Elders with long white hair and white beard showed blue veins on his forehead. In the next second, the suit on his body was torn apart by the sudden change in his body shape. It showed the appearance of some kind of zone demon fruit power monster, with a huge figure several meters in the shadow, and a roar spread throughout the room. Are you kidding me? That brat who doesn't know the sky and the earth. It's just something with impure blood that should have been wiped out the day it was born. Don't be too arrogant. You actually want to go against the world government. At this time, with a bald head, wearing glasses, holding the ghostly Five Elders of first generation, there is also a cold look in his eyes under the lens. Slowly out of the sheath, Goosh, an aura of devouring everything like a ghost descended, agreed slowly and said. Although it can be confirmed that the little devil is the impure evil blood that survived for some reason, but this time it is undeniable that we lost a precious Admiral-level combat power. But, whether it is daring to kill the nobles of the world, or beheading Marine Admiral, that brat is too arrogant. Having said that, the bald Five Elders suddenly changed the topic. However, the ability used by that impure blood just now, what do you think? The bald Five Elders looked at the other two Five Elders. With a birthmark on his forehead, Five Elders sitting on the sofa had a gloomy face and said in a deep voice. Although it is somewhat different from the ability we had in mind, I'm afraid it can't be wrong. If that power comes from devil fruit, among all the devil fruits we know in this world, only the worst devil fruit has that power. The power to nullify the abilities of other devil fruits, really gave that impure bloodline an incredible ability. HMPH, the evil seed with impure blood, coupled with the most evil ability that we ordered to eradicate decades ago, that guy. The blonde Five Elders snorted coldly, gritted his teeth and said. It's just that I survived by luck and I don't know where I got the devil fruit. Since I have this kind of good luck, I should live like those lowly ants in some places. He really thinks that he has the power to fight with us. World government to fight. Arrogant brat backquote. While speaking, Five Elders with blonde hair and beard showed a distorted change on his face due to anger. Although there is no direct transformation into a monster posture in the shadows like the Five Elders with long white hair and white beard. But it is enough to prove that the Five Elders with blonde hair and beards are also zone demon fruit power. Moreover, as the ruler of the world government, he clearly controls the existence of the pinnacle of power in the entire world. Whether it's Five Elders with long gray hair and white beards, or Five Elders with blonde hair and blonde beards. The two are obviously at least extremely rare ancient species, and even both of them are the strongest phantom beast ability users in zone. And at this moment, sit in the main seat of the sofa. With a flat hat, a fluffy beard, a scar on the forehead, and a cane in his hand. Five Elders named J. Golucia Satan opened his eyes, exuding an astonishing aura. Slowly said, okay, it's just an impure bloodline that is destined to be wiped out, a kid who wants to challenge the world government, who dares to commit crimes that kill the world's noble celestial dragons, and kill Marine Admiral, which is absolutely unforgivable. Since he wants to challenge the power of the world government beyond his control, the world government just took the opportunity to let this restless sea experience the power of the world government, otherwise. Quote. J. Golucia Satan's eyes were icy cold, and the entire world government could feel a sudden sense of oppression from his body, saying, if the power of the world government disappears for too long, it will really make some overconfident clowns claim that they are the real masters of this sea. Do you want the Marine government to issue the most wanted arrest warrant? The bald five elders looked at J. Golusia Satan. The remaining 5 elders, including the long-haired and long-bearded 5 elders who gradually returned to their human form and exposed their scarred bodies, subconsciously looked at J. Golusia Satan. J. Golusia Satan shook his head. No, Marines have Marine responsibilities, and now they have lost a newly promoted Admiral. Let them continue to maintain their original missions, so that the current era can maintain an unbroken balance. That 5 elders, with long white hair and long beard, hesitated to speak. J. Golusia Satan looked at the bald 5 elders and said, "Send the Knights of God to go." What? 5 elders, who was blonde and bearded, was shocked. Are those guys going to do it? Obviously, in the eyes of 5 elders with blonde hair and beards. Projecting the evil little devil who dared to kill the nobles of the world and tried to challenge the power of the world government, it is not worth dispatching that force. The other 5 elders also showed shock in their eyes. No problem. J. Golusia Satan raised his hand and said, "The power to kill Marine Admiral alone is enough for the Knights of God to go there. In a few days, that evil kid with impure blood will never escape the first half of the Grand Line, of course." When J. Golusia Satan said this, he stood up. The eyes cast the deepest in the world government, located in the area of Pangu City. "It is necessary to report this matter to Lord I Am." Good. Hear the last mentioned name of J. Golusia Satan-san. The anger on the faces of the 5 elders in the empty room turns into a collective nod. At the same time, just when the 5 elders living in the world government are already plotting how to deal with Bai Ye's plan. The capital of 7 waters is here. On the blank battlefield formed by Reiatsu. The azure blue spiritual power lightsaber condensed by the divine annihilation began to dissipate in Bai Ye's hands. Bai Ye witnessed in front of the now gigantic Reiatsu. In the distance, he planned to attack the warship that interfered with his battle with Akainu. Already deformed and twisted almost completely in front of the gigantic Reiatsu. It feels that there are few surviving Marines above. Bai Ye has no interest in paying attention to it anymore. After all, some messages still need someone to help deliver them. And with the arrival of Akainu this time, Bai Ye has been given a full harvest. Before beheading Akainu, Bai Ye has used the usurpation of the altar to seize all the power of the Logia lava fruit. Under the star badge that seals the power of the lava fruit, Bai Ye can use the lava fruit ability that is not lost to Akainu at all. In other words, one of 3 future Marine Admirals. One of the Logia Devil Fruit's abilities enough to be called a natural disaster is now fully Bai Ye's. With this star alone, as long as the user has enough physical strength, Bai Ye can create a Logia Fruit Admiral level combat power on the spot. One can imagine what a huge gain this is. If only the 5 elders on Mariejois knew about it. I'm afraid I will never associate any dark fruit ability. However, for Bai Ye, if he knows what the 5 elders think. It is estimated that Bai Ye would be willing for 5 elders to guess a little more. Dark fruit's ability is indeed not weak. Can be hailed as one of the worst devil fruit ever. Dark fruit is indeed unique. But, this is on the premise that there is no reference for comparison. If dark fruit wants to contrast with usurping the altar. That Li Jiaojiao gap between the two is no exaggeration in terms of sky and terrain. Not even qualified to touch porcelain at all. Because of the dark ability and other devil fruit ability effects, even if it really has the ability to capture devil fruit. That can only be described as stealing, which is more appropriate. Obtaining from dead ability users, what is it if it is not stealing? But it is the essence of stealing the altar. It's a real direct grab. Looting for no reason. That's why in the Shinigami world. As the ancestor of the Quincy Master, Yohbach will be hailed as an existence born to take everything in the world. And at this very moment, do the next kill celestial dragons one after another. Beheaded Bai Ye, who had successive major incidents in Marine Admiral. Feeling the frightened and fearful eyes cast by the entire capital of 7 waters watching the battle. Here things are sorted out. Bai Ye also had no intention of staying in the ruins under his feet. Now, it's time for him to see what's going on Robin's side. As for how much strength can be enhanced by absorbing the soul of an Admiral-level powerhouse. How much progress has been added to the YHBACH template. There is no rush to check after all the dust in the capital of 7 waters has come to an end. Point 051. Another battle that belongs to Robin's End, Holy Text Ability Visionist. Advertise here. At the same time, located on the other side of the capital of 7 waters. Inside the shipyard dock, at this moment, a large number of corpses and bright red blood have been scattered here, densely packed, with a bloody smell. This scene is enough to make anyone's scalp tingle. And at this time, people continue to die inside the dock. I saw that compared with the original hundreds of people, the number of people who are still alive is only a few dozen people. And at this moment, the forces that had already started to retreat looked at the large number of corpses of their subordinates at their feet. When I looked up at the midair of the dock, there was a pair of young girls with blue starlight wings behind me. Subconsciously stepped back, gritted his teeth and said, "That attitude is like an angel. What kind of terrifying ability?" Go on like this. Hey, Elizabello too. Don't talk about buying time and opportunities for you, all of our subordinates have died and it's our turn. That's right, you nasty bastard, you are not deceiving us. Lousy killed almost all of his subordinates. You don't intend to take the opportunity to escape, do you? Dozens of people moved backward angrily. I saw Elizabello too constantly doing boxing, warm-up, movements. Seeing that there are constant urgings coming, Elizabello too finally stopped when those people were about to get angry. A gleam of light flashed in his pupils. Okay, although I have already warmed up in advance, the preparations needed to release the King's Fist are sufficient. Finished. Elizabello too first looked at those who had lost hundreds of his men. The warm-up phase is over, your subordinates will not die in vain, as for the rest. The sturdy figure of Elizabello too clenched his fists, tightened the large muscles of his body, and stared up at the girl who showed her wings like an angel, completely making the number meaningless. Everything can be solved by the king. 480. Okay. The rest were taken aback for a moment, then heaved a sigh of relief. Great, you guy, if you don't do anything, our people will die. Facing the devil's son, Ion doesn't want to use his own life to make up for it. Yes, but this time, I finally have the opportunity to see the true strength of Elizabello too. While speaking, the forces present didn't care about the lives of their subordinates at all. Instead, he looked forward to looking at Elizabello I's sturdy figure that was faintly steaming with sweat. It's coming, according to legend, even if it is as strong as the Emperor of the Sea, it will instantly kill you on the spot. Although the rumors are too exaggerated, at a time like this, I have no choice but to believe in that guy. Discussing. Elizabello too let out a low growl. Add another corpse to the corpse-strewn shipyard while Robin kills a pirate who's trying to stall. Good chance. The eyes of Elizabello too, who jumped in the air, froze, and he saw Robin who was defenseless at all. Give a low drink. The clenched fist under the boxing glove blatantly blasted out. King. Fist. Roaring, the boxing gloves seemed to have flashed a streamer capable of tearing space. The moment it blasted out, the space inside the dock was faintly distorted, and the air waves surged. It demonstrates the rumored innate title of Weapon of Destruction. The power of the King's Fist can punch through the terrifying power of the enemy's fortress. The terrible aftermath. Although the rumors of Elizabello too are exaggerated, he is indeed a monster-level powerhouse. Are you going to succeed? Once hit by such a terrifying attack, no matter how powerful a guy is, he will die on the spot, right? Facing the turbulent air waves surging inside the dock, it is impossible to open your eyes. The hearts of those present were extremely shocked. Subconsciously looked towards Robin's figure. However, when Robin discovered that Elizabello too was completely beyond the attack level of the pirates in the first half of the Grand Line. Although Robin's face was moved, his pupils were slightly condensed. But, this is where the fight takes place at the very beginning. Robin allocated part of his attention to Elizabello too. Maintaining the complete holy body posture of the Quincy Master. Robin felt the rapidly depleting power of the Quincy in his body. My heart sank. It seems that it is time to use that trick. And that ability. Robin crossed his arms, and the blue pupils with closed eyes flashed with determination that there would never be any wavering. I saw that the wings derived from the azure blue complete holy body faintly and suddenly began to turn into wings like demons. The moment when Devil Fruit's abilities are activated simultaneously. Countless petals appear on the dock, dancing like dreamy sakura flowers. Thereafter, it was a huge female black figure like a demon rising behind Robin. In the panic of the few people left in the dock, a huge female black shadow demon broke through the roof of the dock, exuding a terrifying aura. And this ability, it represents Robin's trust in Bai Ye. For the sake of her companions, she is willing to become a devil, no matter what. At the same time, the main source of ability for this move. It comes from the power of the holy text that Robin was endowed by Bai Ye the day before yesterday. Holy text. Fantasy. The essence of its ability can instantly turn the imagination in the mind of the holder of the holy text into reality. And the greater the imagination of the holder, he can even create space, create objects, create life, and even give himself abilities that he didn't have in the past. Although the ability to give itself cannot be contrary to the principle of the use of imagination. And it takes a lot of imagination to activate the holy text ability. But with the auxiliary ability of Devil Fruit, Robin can play stronger moves with minimal cost. For example, Robin's moves at this time. If Bai Ye were here, he would definitely recognize that this move vaguely resembles the move Robin used to defeat Black Maria in the original Wano Kuni Ghost Island chapter in the future. With the power of a visionary, the power that could not be exerted before will be turned into reality through the medium of fantasy. Saint Text v Visionary. Undoubtedly one of the holy text abilities that suits Robin best. And at this moment, the complexion of Elizabello too, who swung the king's fist, changed drastically. Facing the broken dock, it looks like a huge black shadow of a female demon. The attack of Elizabello I's punch was already very fast. But, the originally unstoppable attack fell on the huge, CBBG, female demon Black Shadow. Although it caused an unbelievable terrifying power, it almost killed most of the dock shop. However, the female demon Sombra seemed to have super regeneration and recovered in the blink of an eye. Then, no, not good. Elizabello too noticed the shadow of a female demon staring at him. His complexion changed dramatically. Before he landed, it was a black shadow's hand that had already held him. In front of the strong pressure and squeezing force, Elizabello I's forehead shed a lot of cold sweat due to pain. Wait. Look at the various magical powers that are beyond the scope of human beings. Elizabello too wanted to try to talk about conditions. However, Robin ignored his intentions at all. Instead, he manipulated the female demon Sombra to suddenly hold Elizabello too tightly. Click. The sound of bones breaking was heard almost immediately. Elizabello too, who could no longer bear the pain, screamed immediately. Immediately afterwards, Elizabello too showed a look of horror in his eyes, looked up and saw another demon's arm falling, and his pupils dilated. In the next second, Elizabello's bloody body pierced through the dock like a cannonball, and fell straight to the sea far away from the capital of Seven Waters. My country, your majesty the king. Faced with this shocking scene, the pupils of Elizabello's attendants dilated, and they shouted in shock. And at this time, Google, facing Elizabello too, who is almost the strongest in the dock, it is so easy and almost equal to being killed in seconds. Everyone felt chills all over their bodies at the moment. I no longer have the idea of dragging Robin, only thinking about running away. But at this moment, someone suddenly noticed that the ghostly figure of the huge female demon controlled by Robin began to faintly disappear. My heart suddenly sank, and I had a guess, so I hurriedly shouted. Wait, the devil's son seems to be unable to hold on anymore. What? Is this real? That's great. I knew that no matter how strong the devil's son is, he's still just a young girl, and his physical strength can't last long, not to mention that she has already killed 300 or 400 people. 11. In this case, let Lousy do it. Lousy's more than 100 subordinates, but they can't just die in vain. That's right, it's the same as Lousy. Dozens of people nearby saw this and found that Robin's seemingly ordinary physical strength was far inferior to that of Gangtuan. His face suddenly changed. After all, whether it is pirates, bounty hunters, or other forces. Essentially only one benefit, in order to drive them to jointly hostile to a target. What's more, there are injuries that can be picked up cheaply. This made the pirate flame that had extinguished greed burn again. However, just when dozens of people looked at each other and attacked together. This is a god-tier saint annihilation flying out of the dust and smoke that just kicked up behind Robin. The pupils of the remaining dozens of people dilated. Haven't waited for them to react. Boom. The ever-increasing sacred annihilation has hit their area. Under the huge explosion, the lives of these dozens of people were completely dissipated in this world. Thereafter, Bai Ye walked over from the dust and smoke. This time, all the troubles here in the capital of Seven Waters have been completely resolved. Muttered. Bai Ye noticed Robin's current state. He came to Robin and looked at Robin, who used 3 abilities at the same time, which was extremely exhausting. Seeing that Bai Ye was fine, Robin realized what was happening with a slight smile on the girl Robin's face. Bai Ye looked at this familiar scene that he used to vaguely live near Nine Snake Island. Can't help but think of the Hancock sisters. Bai Ye subconsciously reached out and squeezed Robin's girly face, and said, "You've done a good job this time," but, as he spoke, Bai Ye passed on the strength of the Quincy to Robin, who had almost bottomed out, and added, "Next time, you can't allow it to happen again." Okay. Robin nodded with a smile on his lips. And this tiny gesture, it meant that Robin's heart, which had been almost completely sealed in the past, began to open. Of course, it's just this scene, except for Robin's trusted Bai Ye. Others may not see it. But right now, the heavy feelings in Tianshui City have basically been settled. The rest. It is a ship entrusted to the Bingshan Shipyard Company. And, check out the real payouts today. As for the impact of killing Celestial Dragon's Marine Admiral on the outside world, Bai Ye is not interested. Point 052. The impact of the event of the capital of Seven Waters. Advertise here. As Bai Ye said just now, neither is the Marine's hypocrisy claiming to be righteous. Still world government, those who live on Mariejois should be wiped out of garbage. Anyone who tries to block Bai Ye's path, Bai Ye will kill every single one of them, exhausted. Thereafter, as the dust settled on the capital of the Seven Waters, Bai Ye and Robin returned to their temporary residence. Bai Ye looked at what he had gained from this incident. The other side, following Bai Ye's events in the capital of Seven Waters. One needless to say, it is enough to cause a huge sensation comparable to an earthquake in the entire Grand Line and even the world. After all, whether it is Bai Ye's bounty far beyond the first half of the Grand Line, or dare to slay the noble celestial dragons of the world, or have the terrifying strength to kill the Marine Admiral class alone. Any one thing, it is enough to cause shock in the whole world. Not to mention, now these events are all concentrated in one person. On the Grand Line, somewhere in a small town. Hey, damn Albatross, Lousy doesn't want to see duplicate content. A pirate looked angrily at the news delivery bird that stretched out its wings and handed over the newspaper with one hand. However, the albatrosses delivering the news don't care that much. His mission is to accurately deliver the latest newspapers published by World Economic News to any customer around the world. Pirates saw this scene of strong buying and selling, gritting his teeth secretly. But in the end, he chose to pay honestly, grabbed the newspaper, turned around and entered the bar behind him. Although these newspaper delivery albatrosses are weak, anyone can kill them. But anyone with a little brain would not choose to do this. Because of these seemingly unremarkable albatrosses. It is the fastest source of circulation information in the world for the 4 seas, the Grand Line, and even the New World. Furthermore, the price of 100 Baileys is not too expensive. And these albatrosses are very vengeful. There used to be pirates on the Grand Line who disdained this. As a result, after losing these sources of intelligence, it didn't take long for the pirate group to be wiped out. Because someone discovered afterwards that those vengeful albatrosses would always expose the location of these pirates. One can imagine. This is for those Marines stationed on the Grand Line, or bounty hunters trying to hunt pirates for bounties. It's no different from a moving target at all. It can be said that he was cheated to death alive. So since then, it has been found that these albatrosses who deliver newspapers have a very vengeful character. Not many idiots dare to beat these albatross anymore. Because intelligence is very important to any force that lacks information channels in this sea. Damn it, today is really unlucky. Lousy was blackmailed before he went out to sea to rob. Speaking of which, those guys in Marine are really. The dissatisfied pirate looked at the bar owner and ordered a glass of rum. He picked up the wine and brought it to his mouth. Marine has new information like Admiral, but it's of no use to us pirates who haven't entered the new world, damn it. Thinking of Bailey who was blackmailed by him, the pirate decided to read this newspaper. In case, maybe you can see your reward that has risen again. Enough to lift his mood today. After all, the rising bounty of pirates represents their status. However, when you open the newspaper the moment, as a headline news came into view, the pirate's movements froze in place. The mouth slowly opened wide, and an uncontrollable shock began to appear in the pupils. After a long time, he immediately put the newspaper in front of his eyes and said, This should be fake, as this kind of thing could be true. Marine Admiral died, in the first half of the Grand Line, can anyone really do this kind of thing? North Blue. The Don Quixote family. Bastard. Doflamingo. Stop it. A ruined town. With tears in his eyes, a pirate looked angrily at the blonde-haired young man in a black suit on the ship. Lousy just robbed you of a batch of arms, why did you do that? While speaking, the pirate's body became uncontrollable and killed another subordinate. Not far away, Doflamingo looked at this scene with playful expression on the corner of his mouth. She. If you do something wrong, you will be punished, let alone. Doflamingo twitched his fingers and said, You don't think you can really escape from my palm in North Blue, kill them, kill those guys, and your pain will be over, eh? Bastard. Damn it. The pirate roared in despair. Doflamingo didn't care at all. As a role that takes both black and white. Since this kind of little ant dared to eat black in the transaction under the responsibility of the Don Quixote family, there must be a price to pay. And the price is life. As expected of the young master. Hey, idiots who offended Dover, who made you catch up with Dover when he was in a bad mood. On the deck of the ship, several family cadres watched this scene excitedly. But at this moment, with an albatross falling, Diamante beside Doflamingo frowned, subconsciously trying to catch up. Doflamingo raised his hand to stop. Dover. Diamante was puzzled. Doflamingo unhurriedly threw 100 Baileys, took the newspaper from the albatross and said, It's okay to take a look at the gadgets owned by that guy Morgans. Marine has worked hard to maintain the balance of this era. Having said this, a look of disdain flashed in Doflamingo's eyes. If the news of Marine Admiral doesn't spread all over the world, those guys in Marine won't be reconciled, after all. The effect of one monster is more than enough to offset, Doflamingo wasn't done yet. His face suddenly changed. New World. Somewhere in the sea, a large ship with the front end shaped like a whale is moored here. Father, those Marine guys don't really think that a Marine Admiral can threaten those monsters, do they? Jumping down from the watchtower, a pineapple-headed youth with blue flames burning in his arms landed. The words are not finished yet. Others on board have already shouted. Hey, Marco, come to the banquet. That's right, as the captain of the first team, how can we do without you? Ha. A burst of laughter erupted among the drink-filled crowd. Marco turned to look at these companions and rubbed his forehead. But well, also normal, as a pirate group standing at the top of New World pirates. For them, the news of the birth of a new admiral in Marine may shock the world, the first half of the Grand Line. But for them, nothing is more important than a party. After all, no matter what happened, as long as Papa is around, the Whitebeard pirates have nothing to fear. However, with an albatross delivering news, it fell again. Marco frowned. What's up with these newspaper delivering albatrosses today? Is it necessary to send the same information twice in one day? With doubts, Marco reached out and took the newspaper. But in the next moment, a piece of news that was enough to shock the entire world came into view. Asking for flowers. 0. Marco's pupils froze for a moment. Subconsciously, he immediately looked at the tall figure at the front of the deck, holding a young knife in his hand, and his beard curved upwards like a crescent moon. Old man, over there in the first half of the Grand Line, it seems like something happened. Wanokuni. Ghost Island. Gudu. Gulp. Ooh, bring Lousy a drink. This world really doesn't make any sense. It's better to destroy it as soon as possible. In a certain cave, the sound of drinking and the roar from time to time shook the giver whose scalp was numb on the Ghost Island. However, right now, a terrified beast's pirates run to the place. Guy, Boss Kaido, the first half of the Grand Line. Shut up. The giver, dressed like a barbarian, hadn't finished. He was interrupted by the giver who stayed in front of the cave. Boss Kaido is drinking now, so you can't disturb me at such a time. The two givers who were in charge of guarding looked ugly. Boss Kaido will go into a drinking madness state every time he gets drunk. Don't talk about reporting the situation at this time. Otherwise, even their lives will be in danger. Point 0. But, no matter what happens, we have to wait until Boss Kaido finishes drinking. Exclamation mark quote. Seeing the pressure exerted by the two guards, the giver's face suddenly changed. Sudden. This is a pterosaur figure with flames burning behind its head falling down. The expressions of the givers of the two guards suddenly changed. That is, baked. Master Jin. What is Mr. Jin doing here? The faces of the three changed. The flying pterosaur has landed on the ground. Become a well-proportioned, tall and strong man, the whole body including the face is covered by dark clothes, wearing a mask and goggles helmet, wearing black double-breasted clothes with two skull patterns on the collar, wearing black gloves, a man who doesn't leave an inch of skin exposed. Jin didn't give the three of them time to think. Straight to the point says, I have something urgent to see Mr. Kaido. But, Lord Jin, Boss Kaido is currently in a. Jin noticed the smell of alcohol wafting from the entrance of the cave, and his face changed slightly. Could it be that Mr. Kaido has entered? But considering the news he just intercepted. Jin shook his head and said, it's okay, just leave it to me. Due to the three major signs of beasts pirates that Jin has in front of him, the title of Flame Calamity. The giver of the guard nodded immediately. The other side. Cake Island. It's like this scene is happening. And why this happened? No doubt, it all comes from a piece of news that shocked the world in the first half of the Grand Line. Over there is the new Marine Admiral, much touted at Naval headquarters this morning. In less than a day from the news announcement, that Admiral died. And most unbelievably so, it was Marine Admiral with overwhelming combat power, so he did not die from a young hero. In the eyes of outsiders, it was an unbelievably shocking event. But in the eyes of all sober forces, they can vaguely notice one thing. The meaning behind this event. Maybe will. No. It should definitely affect the following sea, and even the whole is now in an era of balance. After all, decades since the Rocks pirate incident. Never again has a Marine Admiral been killed in action on this sea. What's more, Marine Admiral died in the first half of the Grand Line. 053. Actions of Big Mom Pirates and Beasts Pirates. Advertise here. P.S. Ariang is fine, and the normal update is back. Readers please support us a lot. Well, Marine's new Admiral Sakazuki died tragically at the hands of a fledgling teenager. Well, it's interesting, it's so interesting. Hearing the news of the tragic death of the new Marine Admiral Sakazuki, Charlotte Linlin, who is afraid that the world will not be chaotic, can't help laughing wildly. She is as huge as a hill, and every time she laughs wildly, the entire Cake Island will be shaken violently. Seeing this, the children of the Charlotte family all had different expressions. Mom, it's not that simple. Do you know how that boy named Bai Ye killed Sakazuki? He seems to use some kind of ability to plunder Sakazuki's ability, and then use his ability to burn Sakazuki to ashes with the terrifyingly hot magma. A 5-meter-tall young man with 120 and purple-red hair, wearing knight-like armor, a cloak, and a black trident on his back, but with his mouth wrapped around his shoulders, opened the mouth. He is none other than Big Mom's second son, Kaji, Charlotte Katakuri. Katakuri is the only son who dares to interrupt the ant's yaxing among the many children of the ant. As for the reason, there is no one else, because he is the strongest one among the many children of the ant, and he is highly valued by the ant. What? When the ant heard the words, the smile on her face disappeared immediately, replaced by a look of disbelief. Impossible, could it be that he devoured the legendary dark fruit? The ant said in disbelief. In her impression, only dark fruit has the ability to devour other fruits. But this fruit should not appear at this time. The previous owner of dark fruit, some guessed to be Roger, some guessed to be Rox. As one of the 4 emperors, Big Mom obviously knows what's going on with dark fruit. Of course, it is impossible for her to say it. Regardless of whether he devoured dark fruit or not, Since he has this terrible ability to plunder other people's fruit, he has the ability to kill Sakazuki, we can't just sit idly by. Katakuri spoke again. Yes, such a dangerous person cannot be allowed to fall into the hands of other forces. Either he will be used by our big mom pirates, or he will die. The tall silver-haired girl holding a red wine glass said coldly. Her figure is perfect. It's just that she is 4.5 meters tall, almost catching up with Katakuri, and she is like a giantess. She is Katakuri's younger sister, Big Mom's 14th daughter, and Charlotte Smoothie, one of the 3 dessert stars. Smoothie is so tall because he is of mixed race. You're right, this kid must be used by us, or we must get rid of him as soon as possible before he grows up. Aunt agreed with Smoothie's statement. Recruit that guy. But, Mom, there's one more thing that guy does, and that's. He killed the celestial dragons. As soon as Katakuri said these words, the faces of all the people present changed drastically. What? He killed the celestial dragons. The news is not wrong, is it? Is he crazy? So, this guy can't be used by our big mom pirates. It seems that we can only kill him before he grows up. The other children of the Charlotte family started talking about it. It's okay. If he is willing to serve our big mom pirates, I can freely hide his identity, if he doesn't want to. HMPH. The aunt showed a hideous face. Katakuri, Smoothie, Baron Dandan, I order you to set off immediately to the capital of 7 Waters, and make sure to bring back that boy named Bai Ye. If he is unwilling to come back with you, then kill him. After saying that, the aunt stuffed a big puff into her mouth. Yes, Katakuri, Smoothie, and Baron Dandan all knelt on the ground and said in unison. The situation was urgent, so Katakuri, Smoothie, and Baron Dandan set off immediately without any delay, and rushed to the capital of 20 Waters at the fastest speed. At the same time, Wanokuni, Island of Ghosts. Bring the wine, bring the wine. Kaido, as huge as a hill, is drinking heavily. Hearing this, the pirates worked together to carry the red wine gourd several times larger than themselves, and came to Kaido. Kaido grabbed the wine gourd and was about to drink to his heart's content. At this time, Boss Kaido, I have something to report. Jin came in from the outside and interrupted Kaido's enjoyment. Bastard, how dare you disturb my drink? Unsurprisingly, Kaido, who was in high spirits, was interrupted by someone, and immediately went into a drunken madness. Thunder 8 trigrams. With his free left hand, Kaido picked up the mace beside him, and threw it at Jin. Crackling. The terrifying thunder force erupted, and the entire cave was instantly shaken. Master Jin, be careful. The Endowers were terrified. If it were them, with such a terrifying blow, they would have been smashed to pieces long ago, where they would have no room to resist. Seeing this, Jin's expression sank, and he exerted the power of devil fruit to transform into an ancient pterosaur, which was able to block Kaido's attack. The blazing flames emanating from his body counteracted the thunder that came after him, and the terrifying high temperature instantly evaporated Kaido's drunkenness. Only then did Kaido wake up a little bit. Jin, why are you? Just in time, drink with me. After recognizing that the person in front of him was his big billboard, Kaido immediately pulled him to drink with him. Master Kaido, now is not the time to drink. Jin didn't talk nonsense, and in a few words, told Kaido what happened in the capital of 7 Waters in as concise a language as possible. What? That kid Sakazuki was killed by a boy named Bai Ye, and before that, that boy killed a celestial dragons in front of him and everyone in 7 Water capital. Even Kaido of the Beasts, when they heard this explosive news, they lost all alcohol in an instant. Just kill the new Marine Admiral and make Marine lose face. Also in front of the World 4.8, killed the celestial dragons. Even Kaido has to admit that this kid named Bai Ye is too arrogant. This son actually has the ability to plunder other people's devil fruit, he can either be used by us, or. Kaido said, with a look of terror on his face. Obviously, his idea coincides with that of Aunt Charlotte Linlin. Jin, Quinn, Jack. Exist. Following Kaido's order, the figures of the 3 major disasters of Beasts pirates disappeared on the Island of Ghosts. Not only the Big Mom pirates and the Beasts pirates have taken action, but the Red Hair pirates and the Whitebeard pirates have also taken action. However, the latter 2 pirate groups only dispatched capable generals and wanted to invite Bai Ye to join them. If they don't want to join, they won't force it. .054, Strong Rise. Advertise here. 054. Various forces are ready to move. North Blue. Don Quixote family. Doflamingo personally led the top cadres of the Don Quixote family, Torrebel and others, and rushed to the capital of 7 Waters. As for what to do, it is self-evident. Grand Line. Baltigo Island, known as the Island of White Soil. One with a hood so you can't see the front. Some unknown island. A man with a hood, a tall man who couldn't see his face, stared in the direction of the capital of 7 Waters. Behind him, stood a group of people. There are demons, fur tribes, murlocs, people with the ability to turn into crows, and a blonde boy. Long, it seems that this world will soon become less peaceful. The ladyboy said with a sharp voice. Who would have thought that the one who broke the balance would be an unknown kid? Bai Ye. Huh. After the lead man finished speaking, a rare smile appeared on his resolute face. Mariejois. Several figures flashed across the night sky. God's knights come out, that kid is dead. Looking at the figure disappearing into the night, 5 elders 21 with blonde hair and beard said. That's right. Master, I am personally ordered that the knights of the gods will never stop dying and kill that kid. Holding the bald 5 elders of first generation's ghost strategy, said coldly. World disaster. Oh boy, you will regret being born in this world. Originally, you obviously didn't have to die so badly, but you asked for it. 5 elders, with scars on their foreheads, spoke. Obviously, they all wanted to put Bai Ye to death. The most important thing is not to let the news of Bai Ye's identity as celestial dragons leak out and become known to the outside world. This would tarnish their venerable celestial dragon status. Their celestial dragons are the supreme existence, and no stains are allowed to exist. If it wasn't like this, they wouldn't need to ask the Knights of God to take action. In short, all forces took action after learning what happened in the capital of 7 Waters. Only naval headquarters, but there is no movement at all. It's not that Marine is calm, it's mainly because the 5 elders have issued an order to obey orders and not to act rashly. The capital of 7 Waters. Naturally, Bai Ye didn't know that the various forces had already made moves. At this moment, he is absorbing the fruits of victory. On the corpses of countless Marines and pirates killed by Bai Ye and Robin, blue light balls representing souls floated one by one. The light spheres are big and small, dotted in the night sky, like a galaxy of stars, which is magnificent. These light spots, to some extent, represent the strength of the deceased. The stronger the strength, the bigger the light spot. Through countless large and small light spots, Bai Ye's eyes fell on one of the dark blue light spots. Even if this light spot is larger than the second largest light spot, it is more than 10 times larger. That's right, the owner of this light spot is none other than Sakazuki, that is, Akainu's. Akainu is indeed a terrifying existence at the Admiral level, his strength is even more than twice as strong as the second strongest Vice Admiral that Bai Ye killed. It is no exaggeration to say that the powerful energy contained in Akainu's light spot is equivalent to the sum of the energy contained in all the light spots on the scene, and even more. Even, because this light spot is too huge, the middle part is even burning with raging fire. As the soul energy thick enough to burn, Bai Ye was amazed. As expected of Akainu, if it weren't for the disagreement, he would have wanted to accept him as one of the members of the Star-Crossed Knights. Pity. His personality is really unpleasant. Since these dots of light are not absorbed as soon as possible, these dots will quickly dissipate, so Bai Ye has no ink blots. A big hand. Countless points of light flew towards him one after another and merged into his soul. Bai Ye can feel that his strength is constantly rising. There are countless souls among them, all killed by Robin. Thanks to her, Bai Ye couldn't help but look at Robin below gratefully. Robin couldn't see the soul light spot, and didn't know what Bai Ye was doing. But she didn't ask much, just waited quietly. Looking at Bai Ye's handsome face, she couldn't help but fantasize. After a while, Bai Ye finally absorbed the biggest spot of light, that is, Akainu's spot of light. Even without opening the attribute template, Bai Ye can clearly feel the improvement of his own strength. Of course, Bai Ye still took a look at the template. Open black lens bracket name, Bai Ye close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket template, Yohbach close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket current unlock progress, 50.4 close black lens bracket. Abilities. Spiritual seed gathering, flying feet, moving blood equipment, static blood equipment, shell static blood equipment, large sacred destroyer, great sacred bow. Inherent abilities. Soul dispensing contact healing, soul recovery, soul dispensing sacred text engraving, soul recycling sanctification. Weapons. Destroying cross knife, cross badge. Special ability. Shadow domain, counts as seizing the altar. Close black lens bracket. Inherent sacred text. Omniscience and omnipotence. Sure enough, the unlocking progress of the Yohbach template has increased by a full 15 percentage points. All of a sudden from 35.4 to 50.4. As for abilities, Bai Ye has also mastered more advanced skills such as the outer shell static blood suit, large-scale holy destruction, and great holy bow. In this way, Bai Ye's strength is equivalent to a big increase. In the past, you might still be afraid of the 603 admirals teaming up, or the existence of the 4 emperors level, but now, Bai Ye's strength is no less than that of the Shanghai emperor. This can't help but make people look forward to, with his current strength, if he faces the siege of many forces, will he have a chance of winning? And now, all forces are coming towards the capital of 7 Waters. Many forces, even on the way, have already met. Be careful, a group of powerful guys are approaching. On an extremely fast speedboat, Tien Takuri suddenly said. When Smoothie and Baron Eggy heard this, they couldn't help becoming vigilant. Who am I? It turns out to be the 3 major disasters of the Beast's pirates. After recognizing Jin, Quinn and George from the Beast's pirates, Smoothie couldn't help but speak. Katakuri, Smoothie, and Baron Eggs. You guys who appeared here at night must have come for that kid. Jin and Quinn spoke one after another. It seems that everyone has the same purpose. Katakuri crossed his arms and said calmly. Since everyone has the same purpose, there is nothing to say. Both sides speeded up, wanting to catch up with Bai Ye before the other side. The same situation happened in different places on the sea. All forces do not want Bai Ye to be preempted by other forces. Point 055, let's go to Sky Island. Advertise here. It was slightly bright. The forces of all parties finally rushed to the capital of Seven Waters. However, when Katakuri and others of the Big Mom Pirates and Beasts Pirates Jin and others worked desperately, they rushed to the capital of Seven Waters against time. Only then did they realize that someone had arrived earlier than them. Revolutionary Army. Looking at the figure of the tall man in front of him, Yinji couldn't help crying out. In the end, the Revolutionary Army took the lead. Smoothie said unwillingly, sorry, it's not us who arrived first, but they. After the ladyboy next to the tall man finished speaking, he forgot to take a look at the dark figures in the distance. Among them, a middle-aged man took the lead, with white beard and hair, and his hair and beard looked like the moon from the outside. Who are they? Katakuri and Jin looked at each other. Apparently neither group knew the group. It's better for you not to know their identities. The blonde boy spoke arrogantly. Where did the little kid talk so arrogantly to us? Quinn didn't dare to look at the arrogance of the blonde boy, and said. My brat, I'm the future deputy chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army. The blonde boy was very dissatisfied with being looked down upon. Just you. Come on. Everyone obviously didn't take him seriously. Fufu, they are the Knights of God from Mariejois. A man wearing slippers and striding forward, leading a group of people, appeared behind everyone. Doflamingo. Katakuri and Jin recognized him immediately. Both Katakuri and Jin knew Doflamingo's identity, so they naturally had no doubts about his words. It turns out that they are the Knights of God under the command of that lord. Everyone looked at the group of dark figures in disbelief. The dark figure also noticed them. It's just that at this moment, everyone is rushing towards one person. That person didn't see it, and they didn't intend to fight each other. After all, no one wants to create extra problems and let others benefit from it. The various forces that came to the capital of Seven Waters had a tacit understanding, each looking for the figure of a young man, and there was no conflict with each other. It's a pity that they may have come here in vain. Just before they arrived, Bai Ye took Robin to the shipyard and learned that the ship had been casted. He didn't even say goodbye to the iceberg. He took Robin on a new ship and set sail directly. He left the capital of Seven Waters and headed towards Sky Island. Start in the direction. Yes, Bai Ye's next destination is Sky Island. Worthy of being a ship made by Rai Shipyard, it is not generally strong. In terms of shape, it is also quite beautiful. Quote. Sailing on the rough sea, Bai Ye is very satisfied with the ship under his feet, which took 3 days to build at the Kalalei shipyard. According to Bai Ye's requirements, the ship is completely black, unlike other pirate ships, which are marked by evil things such as skulls or black crows. I don't want to use the cute pet's head as a symbol like the Straw Hat Pirates. The logo of Bai Ye's pirates is a cross. Low-key at the same time, without losing majesty and hockey. Yes, quite a fine ship, give it a name. Robin suggested. In this era of great navigation, every ship that sails has a name. Like the Meili and Sunny of the Straw Hat Pirates. Big Mom's Queen Mother Anthem and more. So, naturally Robin wanted a name for their new ship. Is this really necessary? Bai Ye claims that he is not a sensationalist. It's better to avoid naming a ship. Of course it is necessary. Robin said seriously. Okay then, I'll leave it to you. Since Robin insisted on giving the ship a name, Bai Ye simply threw this problem to her, and he was happy at leisure. Hearing this, Robin seriously thought about the name of the ship. At the same time, Marine Headquarters. The Marine Headquarters seems to be quiet, but in fact, at this time, the dark tide is raging. Meeting room. A group of Marine officers are having a meeting. The atmosphere is extremely serious. What? Sakazuki actually died. Died by a kid named Bai Ye. A tall man with an afro wearing a suit vest, a dark blue shirt, and a marine coat was shocked when he heard the news. He is none other than Kuzan, who is as famous as Sakazuki in the Marine Headquarters. Kuzan at the moment is just a vice admiral. He has always been at odds with Sakazuki, and when he learned that he was promoted to admiral, but he missed admiral, he was so angry that he didn't even report to the Marine Headquarters. If Marshal Sengoku hadn't given the death order, he probably wouldn't have shown up at Marine Headquarters today. I never expected that when I arrived at Naval Headquarters, I heard such a shocking news. Sakazuki, who had just been appointed as Marine Admiral for less than a day, was killed by someone. Moreover, he was killed by an unknown kid. Quote. This is impossible, this must be a joke, right? Although Kuzan and Sakazuki have different personalities, he still recognizes Sakazuki's strength. He even admitted that his strength was even higher than his own. Now, hearing that he was killed by an unknown kid named Bai Ye, how could he accept it for a while? Kuzan, I'm sorry, this is not a joke, it's real. Pelusolino, who has always been carefree, said in a serious tone. But serious for only 3 seconds. It's really, so scary. Enough, Pelusilino, be serious. Sengoku spoke. No wonder he had such a bad temper today. Sakazuki's death was not just as simple as the loss of Admiral, a member of Marine. Sakazuki was brutally killed when he took office as Admiral. Okay. This is related to the dignity and face of the entire Marine. Let's watch a video sent back from the projection phone bug scene first. Staff Officer Crane said. Then, she winked. Standing behind her, a Momosugi with a pair of perfect slender long legs, a bulging figure, and a head of jet black hair immediately played a video on the projection phone bug in her hand. It was the scene where Sakazuki was beheaded. The current Momosugi, although not yet a general star, is already a vice admiral. A group of Marine officers looked shocked when they saw Sakazuki being killed by his lava fruit ability. What's the origin of this kid? Why can he devour Sakazuki's fruit ability? How did he do it? Could it be that he secretly? Even the senior officials of the Marine headquarters, not everyone knows the existence of Dark Fruit. 056, Marines out. The lost face must be regained by hand. When the senior official was about to say the name of Dark Fruit, he was stopped by Sengoku in time. Why he has this ability is still a mystery, but it is probably related to Devil Fruit. Also, as for the origin of this kid, it is not clear yet. Quote. Sengoku voiced his guess. The world government, the five elders seem to know who this kid is, but when I called to inquire, they kept silent and told us to obey orders and not act rashly. Staff Officer Crane spoke again, with a slight dissatisfaction in his tone. What? Let us obey orders at this time and not act rashly. Are we really going to listen to the orders of those guys from the world government, do nothing and wait for orders? The one who died was Sakazuki, Marine Admiral, representing the face of our Marine Admiral. Never let that kid named Bai Ye go. Countless Marine soldiers with fiery tempers couldn't help themselves. Marine lost so much face and asked them to obey orders and not act rashly. Is it possible? So, this is the reason why we specially summoned you here. Do you really want five elders to say what they say? After a pause, Sengoku clenched his fists, and said again, we Marine lost face, we must take it back with our own hands. 643, that's right. We Marine must take it back with our own hands, otherwise, the world will think that our Marine is easy to bully. We, Marine, are the guardians of justice in this world. A group of Marine officers and soldiers, the momentum is like a rainbow. I have to say that Sengoku, who just took office, is still a bit bold. Unlike in the future, it is completely led by the nose by the world government. Garp, as a Marine hero, don't you want to say something? Sengoku couldn't help but speak. You have all made up your mind, so I have nothing to say. However, you are right, the face that Marine lost must be regained by us, Marine. When Garp said the latter, he also became serious. Kuzan and Pelusilino looked at each other, and their expressions gradually became serious. Immediately, Marine stopped holding back and started to make some moves secretly. 2 large warships plus several medium-sized warships quietly sailed out of the naval headquarters port and headed for the capital of Seven Waters. World government. As soon as the warship sailed out of naval headquarters, there were subordinates immediately reporting the situation to Kong. Kong looked strange, CBCG, and grabbed the phone bug in front of him, but paused, and finally put it down. Forget it, just pretend that you haven't received this news. You can step back. Kong ordered his subordinates to step down, but did not inform five elders, the top executive of the world government, of his plans. He is the former Marshal of Marine, and he was promoted to the commander of the world government and the commander of the armed forces not long ago. After Sengoku succeeded him as the Marshal of Naval Headquarters. How could he not understand Sengoku's current situation, Marine's situation? So in this matter, he chose to turn a blind eye. The big deal is that when five elders asked about the crime, he said that he had not received any news. Marine warship, extremely fast. In addition, there are 2 admirals, Aokiji and Kizaru, who secretly speed up, so, in just half a day, they have already arrived at the capital of Seven Waters from Naval Headquarters. It's a pity that when they arrived at the capital of Seven Waters, they had already eaten. Like other forces, they rushed to nothing. Marine. Didn't the 5 elders tell Marine to obey orders and not act without authorization? God's Knights, someone saw the Marine warship appearing on the sea, and couldn't help but speak. Whatever, we only have one mission anyway, and that is to capture that kid Bai Ye. After a pause, the leader of the Knights of the Gods added another sentence, sex and death are irrelevant. It was learned from the employees of the shipyard that Bai Ye and Robin, the son of the devil beside him, were heading in a certain direction on a boat. On the Marine warship, Pelusilino jumped up from the warship he was in charge of, turned into a golden light, and landed firmly on another warship. Marshal Sengoku, Staff Crane, and Kuzan, what do you think? As soon as Pelusilino landed on the ground, he immediately opened his mouth to speak. Unexpectedly, a kid has attracted so many forces to show up, but yes, that kid has some kind of incredible ability, and, moreover, he has the strength to kill Marine Admiral. Although recruiting that kid will definitely bring them huge troubles, which is equivalent to making an enemy of the world government. But if they can recruit that kid, it is tantamount to making their goal of dominating the world a big step forward. That's why all the forces will show up here. Quote. Crane opened his mouth and analyzed. Maybe by chance, that kid actually left first. It is unlikely that his companions notified him. It should be purely a coincidence. Sengoku said. In order to save Marine's face, he, the marshal, even went out in person. It can be seen that Sengoku attaches great importance to Bai Ye. It's a pity that as he knew, good luck made people, he rushed to the capital of Seven Waters in a hurry. Bai Ye and Robin, the son of the devil, had long since disappeared. That direction seems to be a bit inconvenient. Pelusalino thought about it. Oh, what's wrong? Sengoku couldn't help but ask. There is the direction of Sky Island. Before Pelusalino could speak, Kuzan, who was always taciturn, spoke. He's not trying to escape to Sky Island. Momosuke couldn't help but speak after hearing that. Bingo, you got it right. Pelusalino still had that unprofessional tone. Full speed ahead. Sengoku immediately gave the order to go full speed ahead. Be sure to catch up with Bai Ye before he escapes to Sky Island, and before all forces recruit him. Yes. The marine warship immediately turned its bow on the sea, set off huge waves, and headed towards Sky Island at full speed. At the same time, a group of people stood on the exposed red rock in the capital of Seven Waters. The guy in the lead had a long horizontal scar on his face, an earring in his right ear, and a cigar in his mouth. His left hand must have been lost long ago, replaced by a golden hook. While exuding hockey all over his body, there is no lack of viciousness on his face. He looked at the direction in which the forces of all parties were leaving, with deep disdain in his eyes. Different from the forces of all parties, the other forces are all coming for Bai Ye. Only he came for someone else. Robin.